All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this series, the Southwest Native Foodways Gathering 4-season series, and this is the summer edition. So we are going to have a great program today. We are going to be talking to several Native American run nonprofit mentor apprenticeship programs. And so today we'll be listening to these groups from Thana Autumn, from Hopi, and also having a food demo. So I want to kick it off with introducing Amy Wan, who will be doing the opening prayers. Amy?
Good morning, everybody. Ani objective Amy Wan, Jokumai Amjad Strukta Jukshan, Donna the Nation, and you judge and you all go Jishgik or Melton Miguel, just Sylvester Wan, and you got your was of Jishgik Mary Melissa Miles, but Danny Wan, but and you hold Junior Bob of Jishgik Mary Elizabeth Miguel, but Lawrence Miguel, but very, very good to see everybody this morning. It's a nice and cloudy day here in Struction and Tucson, and definitely feels like fall. So it makes me happy because it's, you know, everybody's celebrating our harvest. We're going into that transition into another season, and I just want to say good job to everybody who worked really hard this summer, this spring, and who are seeing the fruits of your labor, all your hard work. And of course, we're happy that we were blessed by all the rain and that gave us good harvests. And so it makes me feel good, and I hope everyone feels the same this morning. Thank you to Terrell and to Ajo CSA for asking me to do the prayer this morning. And I'm going to light some sugar for all of us this morning. And I know we're virtual, but hopefully you can close your eyes and smell the medicine. Just let that burn. And of course, smelling the medicine makes me think about everybody and about us gathering. All the good times that we share when we gather like this. So even though we're on our computers, we want to have the same feelings. And this morning, I'm going to share the one of the planting songs, and then also a morning song. This planting song is one that we're sharing more often. When we first got started really doing our food work in the community as young people and people who are relearning, one of the important things was learning our songs that go with planting. And the first planting song that we learned from Francis Daniel, but from San Pedro community, was a popular one for a while as we were learning and teaching that song when we first put our seeds into the ground. And then this song is the second song, and I think that it's fitting just in terms of where we're all at in our work in the communities, that, you know, we've done a lot of hard work, and now we watch our seeds grow and we're taking care of them. And we, you know, we're taking time to admire our work in the morning and in the evenings. So this is what that song is about. The second planting song, about taking the time to recognize our work that we've put in. Our plants are growing, and looking forward to the harvest season. So Spexeric again, everybody. And this is the planting song, and then a morning song to start us all off today. Iru ya aru tata chuchem ipoina sharing tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na sharing tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na hu dung tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na hu dung tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna iru ya aru ta tai chu chem I poi na sharing tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na sharing tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na hu dung tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna ta tai chu chem I poi na hu dung tamai shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna nya nya wa shoshon chuna iru ya aru sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Siko sapya tamata hai I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Siko sapya tamata hai I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Siko sapya tamata hai I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Siko sapya tamata hai I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi sharing ta kyo I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Siko sapya tamata hai I toi ku kiwa tnya nahi Sapo Sanataka, we thank you so much for this beautiful day and for us to be able to gather in this way. And we ask for blessings, good blessings on everyone and their families and the communities, and especially to ask for special blessings upon our oitakam, our farmers, to bless their bodies after all their hard work this summer, and that they feel happy and proud of the food that they've grown for our people, for our communities, and continued blessings for the rest of the season and all of the rest of the work that we're going to do this year and beyond and into the spring, and all that we look forward to, and all of the stories that we're going to hear today, and that everyone has a good day, and the rest of the weekend, everyone be safe and protected as well and healthy. So Sapo, thank you, and let's have a good day. Time to wake up and listen to each other and spend some time together. So Sapo, thank you, Terrell and Nina.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Amy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, let's get into today's program. Again, we are talking to different mentor and apprenticeship programs around Indian country, especially mainly here in the Arizona and the Southwest. First, we have Ajo Center for Sustainable Agricultural Apprenticeship Program. And so the moderating this will be Sterling Johnson. I just want to get a quick introduction with the Ajo Sustainable Agriculture, which is a Native American governed nonprofit organization. An Ajo CSA Agriculture Apprenticeship Program provides a well-rounded multi-site training for Tohono who are interested in agriculture. Our apprentices are provided opportunities to learn and from other farmers and other usage of the land. They are trained. The training is given insight in both traditional growing on small scale as well as large scale farming, like dry land farming, and modern practices like drip irrigation farming. They have a classroom sessions where our apprentices attend workshops, trainings on financing, marketing, sales, and we do sessions on cultural knowledge sharing with elders and other indigenous tribes. So, so who's going to be moderating today's session will be Sterling Johnson, who is the mentor of the Agriculture Apprenticeship Program for Ajo CSA. All right, Sterling, here we go.
All right, thank you, Terrell. So like Terrell said, my name is Sterling Johnson. I'm the farm manager and also mentor to Ajo CSA apprenticeship program. I've been growing food for the last 10 years, growing my knowledge and expanding my knowledge on growing, especially here in where we call home. We're a place we call Arizona, or a place that we call Tohono Nation. These are this is our home, and I work out of Ajo. I grew out here in Ajo. And on the Tohono Nation, on my mother's side's farming land, and all these. Today is a very to me it's a special day because it's work that has been going on for the last 9 months, and our apprenticeship program started more or less almost at the beginning of the year, and to actually have these guys still out here growing food, producing foods. We do have Adopt a Snore Doesn't Crop program, which we give out traditional, or not just traditional food, but also food that has adapted here in the desert through introduction to the Spaniards and Western settlers. So these foods are that can withstand this, especially during the summer, can withstand the heat, and has produced for us time and time again. And we're just really grateful that our apprentices were able to learn how to grow these foods, and they grow them to rejuvenate the seeds. Those are the things that for us as one of our programs that our apprentices get to do, as well as non-traditional foods. And so today actually we have them with me, and we're all going to share a computer. So if you see the camera moving around, we're sharing the computer today. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that part of this, no, part of this journey wouldn't be possible from funding from the USDA, First Nation, and Native American Ag Fund. Those are things that helped us be able to do these things and give this opportunities for these young men to grow food and to experience it. This really is a hands-on multi-site training. And sorry. So with that being said, I like the apprentices to introduce themselves first, and then hopefully we have the mentors on from Alexander Poncho Memorial Farm and Santa Fe Co-op. So as soon as the apprentices are done introducing themselves, I would like you guys to introduce yourselves as well. And so we'll start off with this first question. And this is for all the apprentices. So I want them to introduce themselves, where they come from, and why they got into farming. So I'll hand this over.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Juke Patricio. I'm 29 years old. I come from the village of Bigfields, but I currently reside in Sells. I'm a single father with a daughter that she's 9, and I've also been recently in the Sells District Council. These are just some of the things that have come out of what I've been doing. With the agriculture, I've been doing this for about 10 years, but maybe longer, or I know a lot longer now. But I grew up growing with my mother and my family, and I got a job in this about 10 years ago with Thon Community Action. And since then, I've been working with a lot of the people that I've met through that program in these past 10 years. That's how I've stayed connected with Nina and Sterling. That's how I met them. And we've been doing this for about 9 months now. And yeah, I just enjoy this. I've always enjoyed working outside. And the more that I learned about agriculture, the more that I learned that it was a part of our tradition and our culture. And it became a big meaning in my life and important. And I really want to encourage other people to start growing their own food because it is possible, and it's a part of them, especially us as Autumn. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Snowball. I'm from Sells, Arizona. My mother's Calvin. My dad is Calvin Snowball. My mother is Margaret Snowball. I got involved in farming like about over 2 years ago. I was just basically looking for a job, and it kind of grew on me. Like everything I've been through, farming just like came into my life, and it just like changed everything. It gave me a better outlook of life, and like basically like health wise too. My dad comes from a diabetes prone like family, like all his family is diabetic, and yeah, it kind of changed my life like for the better. I got involved this farming like I said, like over 2 years ago. I was looking for a job, and Jesse Garcia had posted opening at the farm in Colic. So I tried it out, and I liked it. At first it was hard, but I kind of got used to it, used to the hard work and all that, working in the sun. Yeah, but this is like something that I really want to stick with, and like I really want to make a living from it. And not only that, but to help others too, help others like health wise, and teach the younger generation to like to farm and grow their own foods, so they won't have to be going to the store. It's really good and healthy for others and ourselves. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Elijah Marietta, and how I got involved into farming or growing is I wanted to connect with my roots and connect more with being autumn. And so I told an elder, and they gave me seeds, and I was surprised that we had our own seeds because at this I come from a farming community. Adichuk, otherwise known as more better known as Manager Dam. And even growing up, I never heard of any traditional seats ever being spoken about from anyone. So when this elder gave me these seeds, I was listening to her, and she ran down like how they do and all that. And this was like around before planting season. So I listened, and I thought it was going to be easy, but when it finally came down to growing, it was a lot more harder than I anticipated. And none of my crops really came out good. And now I realize I overwatered a lot of it. And then the following year, I tried to grow again and was unsuccessful. So I told myself I wouldn't continue growing until I learned more about it. And last season, I got employed at the co-op, and I just really opened my eyes, and didn't really say anything because I just wanted to hear what everyone was talking about whenever it came to anything, our work and stuff involving farming. And after my position over there, I got employed at I found this apprenticeship. So yeah. So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can so I could bring it back home.
Okay, Pancho Memorial Farm, Nolan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nolan Johnson, Pancho Memorial Farms manager, and it is a part of my family on my mother's side. Betty Ann Pancho is a Cowlick community member, and the Pancho Farms is located on my grandfather's, the late Alexander Pancho's old auction farm fields, just outside of Cowlick community. My dad is the late Roger Johnson, and he was a Bumry community member. So it was really easy for me to take on this adventure, because some of it was because it was on my grandfather's land, and Terrell, one of the co-founders of Toka, is my brother. And I got into this 20 years ago, almost back in 2002. And now almost 20 years later, I'm still working the ground, and it just gives me a little more pride in when I get up and go do the work, because it's part of my family. But even more so that it's a job where I'm just doing a little portion of what I can do to preserve the culture of the Tohono O'odham and the traditions of the Tohono O'odham, and use that all in the practice when we're doing farming. And to work at a farm, a place where people can come and see an actual flood farm where our sole water source is from the rains, and whatever water flows through the land. We don't pump water from a well. We don't haul water, which we have before, but we haven't done it in a long time. And when we did do it, it wasn't very effective because the amount of water you needed was, a lot. So that's just a little bit background of where I am at right now and how I got started. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Nolan. Senator,
He's always charging me a grand.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Preston, and I'm the food production assistant here at the Sanibur Co-op farm. Raymond should be joining us shortly. He's still in the field harvesting our corn. Here at the Sanibur Co-op farm, we as food production like to focus on traditional crops, which is always during the summer, and all has been a great help for us. We always need hands. I remember we were meeting with Sterling and Nina, and they told us like it's hard to find farm workers, and it is, and we're still looking for people that are interested. Some people only like to stay for a few weeks, longest like 3 months, and then they leave. So it's always good to have people that are interested in farming, like the Ajo apprentices. Thank you.
okay. No, thank you, Josh. Yeah, and these are the apprentices, and these are our mentors. And one of the greatest aspects of this apprenticeship program is that we're able to partner with different other farmers both on and off the reservation. The one mentor that we didn't get to bring in because he's not doing too well is Frank Martin of Crooked Sky Farm in Phoenix and Duncan, Arizona, which is right in between New Mexico and Arizona borders. These are people that we got to work with and learn from, and not just from me, but learn from different other things. So the second question I had, and then this is for everyone again, is what were the most memorable moments of the program? And it could be more than one occasion, or it could be just the one that stuck out the most. So I want to go ahead and hand this over to Juke.
Memorable moments for me, I'd have to say, it's hard to say, because with this job, it's been quite interesting. Almost every day we're somewhere new, doing something new, and it's been quite an adventure. But I'd say one of the things that really sticks out is we made a trip out to New Mexico. And out in New Mexico, we were there for just about a week, and that's where we worked with Farmer Frank. And we got to see one of his farms out there. And as long as I've been doing agriculture, it's always been on a smaller scale. I have worked with Nolan out in Calic before, but being out there, I was expecting to see his crew, and when we showed up, it was just us, just us and his son. And he was just like, yeah, I want to plant all these tomatoes and all these bell peppers, and I have about 1,000 asparagus plants that we're gonna plant. And that was just one row. He said that it had to have been about 1,000 plus asparagus plants that we planted that time. And on top of that, he showed us how to work one of his tractors there that was connected to a planter. And on that planter, we had little seedlings that we would put on the back, and it spun like a wheel, and it put the plants in the rows, and it was pretty amazing. That's the first time I've ever seen that kind of equipment, and it was it was a lot. It was a lot that all of us we had to go through, and we did almost like 10, 11 hours, 12 hours that day. Not to mention the drive that we had to get to the spot. But, you know, all of it was well worth it. We ended up planting about 36,000, if not more, plants of tomatoes and bell peppers. Just me, Sterling, and the other two apprentices, Snowball and Elijah. And, you know, it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling after we finally finished and we drove off and we saw all those plants. Even though we barely dented the area that he had, it was amazing to know that, you know, just us, you know, encouraging each others to push forward and that we got this. And it was nice getting to drive the equipment and seeing how it worked. And, you know, I wonder how many tomatoes came out of that, just that little. It seems like a little bit from what we saw, but it was quite a lot. I mean, I planted maybe a few hundred plants in a setting or whatever, but thousands. I thought that was pretty amazing right there. And, you know, there's just so many other things that we've done, but I know that's one of the ones that sticks out. Is not for me, but I know for all of us. Thank you.
My most memorable moments was probably in college, when we well, it was the first time for me using the combine. It was pretty amazing to see how much beans we got out of that field, even though it was kind of a dry season. We didn't get that much beans, but that was my first time seeing the combine being used and how much beans that we got. It was quite a lot of beans. I forget how much, but to me it was like a lot. And yeah, that was probably my most memorable time. There's a lot, like Duke said, there's a lot more that memorable times, but that was probably my most memorable time right there, to see how much beans we got, and like all the effort we put into it to get those beans. It was like amazing for me.
Mine's will probably, one of my memorable moments will probably be when we're planting terpray beans in Cowlick, and no one was teaching us how to use the planter and how they make rows, and it was quite challenging. Yeah, that's probably mine.
Okay, Nolan, any memorable moments with the guys?
For this season, it would be when we were working and the clouds were coming in and it was raining upstream from us, and we got caught in the flood. It didn't rain on us, but the flood waters came through while we were planting. We're trying to take advantage of the moisture, so we planted, and I had talked to these guys into staying a little longer to plant. It was Friday, it was in the afternoon, and so they were good sports, and they stayed with us, stayed with me to plant. And by the time we got done planting, we noticed that the floodwaters were coming through, and we were jumped in our vehicles, getting ready to get out of there. And then by the time we got all that done, we were flooded in. We couldn't get to the pavement, and everyone's getting kind of upset. Everyone's kind of getting upset. It was Friday. I think it was their payday, and it was getting later in the day. But having to stay there, and it's kind of forced them to be there in an auction field when it was actually flooded. I've been in there many times when it's flooded and got stuck in there and stayed in there, but those were some of the most calming and rewarding times for me to be in there, and just having them having them get caught in there and seeing that for me was memorable to me, that hopefully that they got out of what being there just by accidentally having to be there and getting caught in the flood and seeing the fields flood up and here listening to the water. And when the sun was coming, going down, and we were still there waiting for the waters to go down, that they got something out of it. With when I get out there and I'm in there walking through the floods, in the mud, slipping in the water, that they get out of it what I did every time I'm out there and I see the flood waters, and then see your plants thriving and appreciating the water as much as everyone should be appreciative when it floods. So that's what this year was the most memorable time out there.
Okay, thank you. No, it's yeah, those times are really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and let Josh go ahead and talk about what were the most memorable moments you had with the guys.
For me, like the most memorable moments are when I was training them on the tractors and how interested they were into it. And not only were they interested in tractor work, but they were asking questions about the food, which is cool. I mean, I don't get many of those questions. And the corn, they helped us a lot with our corn, and it was very successful this year. And it was pretty cool to see all of it come up, and they came out and they helped us plant all day. It usually takes a team of 6 to do it all day, but since Ajo came out, we knocked it out in like half a day. But yeah, those were the memorable moments for myself and my team.
Okay, no, thank you, Joshua, for sharing. So we think we just pause a little bit, but also because during this time, um, no, we're in the time now where you can capture a moment and and share with everyone. I before you weren't able to do that. It was something that you experienced, like Nolan. I like what Nolan said about no no having the experience, and I definitely where I first started, I learned on that dryland farm too as well from Nolan, and as well as taking the experience and going off and doing it on my own uh, to get good at it. Those are those moments that you don't forget. I definitely had that same thing happen too, where it rained and really wanting to plant the field as much as you can, and have everything ready. So I'm gonna ask Caitlin. I know Caitlin was the one that put this together, so thank you, Caitlin, for putting this PowerPoint. But I wanted to stop and share the memories that are the little moments that these guys are talking about. So, Caitlin, if you can go ahead and share it. So as we're going through the slides, as we're going through the slides, these are just the little highlights from the month, from the apprenticeship program. These are the months I actually, this month particular is when we got to go to Crooked Sky Farm, Phoenix, where they got to go see Farmer Frank, um, uh, and see how Farmer Frank, farms. And he has a little greenhouse that he has put together that he grows his starts and then waits them to get bigger and then transplants. And towards this time, we're still growing our own stuff. We have kale. We have kales. We have the Tuscan kale or the Dino kale, and red Russian, chard. And in the end, the guys were since the pandemic hit, a lot of this work has a lot of our work has slowed down a tiny bit, because when COVID hit and the country shut down, out here, especially in Ajo and then on the reservation, a lot of people couldn't afford to go get food, twice or three times a week. Some people were able to do it once a week, and when you had put a limit on how much food you can get, the it slowed things down a lot. It slowed things down, and for us, because we switched over to providing food for the community. At some point during the pandemic, we were supplying food for 7 districts: South, Chukukuk, Pisimo'o, Govo'o, Gaachi, Hikuan, San Luis. Those are all the districts that we were giving food every week for almost 8 months straight, and supplying the food. So since the beginning of the year, we slowed down just a little bit, only giving out food once a month, but we still supply food to some districts during this to this day. Because people just don't have the time or don't have the money to go out and buy food, but also and being rural, not everyone can travel or don't have a vehicle. So by doing this, we were able to help, and there's a number of factors that go into why people aren't able to afford food. And this is one of the things, and this is something that they do every month. Go ahead, Haley, next slide. This month, I'll go ahead and turn this over. I'll let Jude talk about this month particular, because this is their journey on this apprenticeship. I'll let them talk about this.
Okay, so in the month of April, a lot of these pictures that we have in the slides, we did so much more just throughout this little bit of time, and it was hard to narrow down just a few pictures for these slides. But in April, the one underneath the title there, that's us out in Hikuan, where Elijah lives, and he invited us out to go and help him start his oil leg out there to make it bigger. And Nolan went out with us. It was quite a bit. But he said it was going to be a little bit. It was kind of rocky, and we got there, and you could barely stick the shovel in the ground without hitting a handful of rocks. But we got it done, and that's the start of it right there. Us putting the posts in, and where the middle's at, we went through and we tore it all up, and we had to sift through all that dirt to get the rocks out. And you know, we were all very determined. You know, we could have easily given up. We're like, no, it's too much. But you know, we pushed through and we got it done. You know, because we wanted him to have his garden out there too, and you know, that was pretty cool. And the next one right there, everybody on the right with everybody standing in the field, that's out in Sanavir. And I think that was the first time we went. And you know, we've made numerous trips out there, and you know, shout outs to everybody out at the co-op. You know, those guys are killing it, doing their thing, running all those fields, and it was pretty exciting to go out there. That's us standing out in the autumn piece. That's when they have the autumn piece, and we're looking out at the fields. And underneath that that's Elijah and Snowball cleaning beans, and that's right there in Sanavir too as well. They're in the midst of trying to regrow some of the separate beans that we used to have. And, you know, I've always heard stories about us having hundreds of different beans. And, you know, now I only know a few. As long as I've been doing it, I've only come familiar with a few of them. But Sanavir, you know, they're going through and doing the seed selecting thing. So you can see those different colors that all came from the same bunch of beans. But we're going through and we're seed selecting and picking out the different varieties, trying to revive some of those plants. The next one with the ladybug, that's Jotum right there. That's a plant that grows out here. That's the cholla buds. And that's one of our traditional foods that we used to harvest. And, you know, we still encourage people to go out and pick it when the season comes. It's a very good source of calcium, and that's one of our foods that grows, you know, wild out in the desert that, you know, a lot of people don't know of. And on the bottom, that's a shot that I did of the pivot out there in Sanavir too as well. And that's the center of it, and it's just a big old, it's a big field that's in a circle, and that the pivot goes around and it waters it. And, you know, they got to tell us, you know, what they do with that and some of the things that they're actually trying out there too. And, you know, the experiments that they're doing and trying to utilize the land that they have. Again, there's so much that we've done, but, you know, just visually, this is what we put up. And yeah, I'm gonna pass it on for the next month to Snowball right now.
Okay, this was in May. On the top left, me and Elijah out in Colic. We're fixing the fence because Nolan wants to expand the land and clear it out, but first we want to fix the fence. So yeah, that picture was in Colic. We're digging holes, putting posts in, putting railroad ties like every 20 feet or so. It was pretty much hard work because it was hot out there too. It was summertime, and but it was pretty cool though. We got to fix that fence. And then okay, the next picture is right here in Duncan, it was in Duncan. That's Farmer Frank on the planter. It's like a manual planter. It's like all mechanic. There's no electricity or nothing. That's the one that we use for plant tomatoes and bell peppers. Like Duke said, I forget how many plants, but I think it was close to 9,000 plants. That we plant.
36,000.
36,000 plants, I guess, yeah. But it was pretty much fun, and it was nice out there. And okay, then the next picture is this is Frankie driving the forklift to bring over the seedlings. Those are all the seedlings there in Duncan. And I believe that was tomatoes. Those are all tomatoes, and that was just like one of the pallets that they had full of seedlings. And it was quite a lot. It was like a lot left over too. But yeah, and then the squash blossom right here, we harvested in Phoenix. That was also at Farmer Frank's, one of his other farms over there in Phoenix. We harvested that morning, and I guess so restaurant wanted it that morning. So we got like as much as we could. I guess they were looking for a lot. So we went and helped them harvest that when we got there that morning. And then the next picture is carrots that we harvested. They're in Phoenix as well. It wasn't at the same one where the blossoms at. It was a different field in Phoenix. It was just kind of down the road, but those are all the carrots that we harvest. Like I believe it was 350 bundles that we had to do, and that was pretty fun because I never seen like all those carrots, like so many carrots. It was like quite a lot, quite a lot. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and next slide and let Elijah explain all the pictures.
The first picture is me and Juke selecting the seeds to for the Adopt a Crop program seed giveaway. And on the top is Violet. Below it is Nolan and his daughter Izzy went out harvesting cactus roots to make gayaput. Yeah. And then on the top is me harvesting. I'm not really sure what that was. Yeah. I forgot the exact names, but we harvested about how much?
I don't know, a couple hundred bundles.
Couple hundred bundles.
What was it?
And that was also a very hot day too, but it was very fun and new and exciting. And then below it is Nolan and Kyle.
Fixing the marker.
Fixing the marker to use as a measurement on the tractor. Okay.
Next slide, Caitlin. Just to go through this a little bit more, we're getting closer to where these guys are at now. These are so as you guys know, we got rain right not too far into July. And what traditionally how things were done was through the monsoon seasons. And this was probably these pictures were shot during the monsoons and before the monsoons and in between monsoons. Part of this process now was to be able to see this done, be able to see this traditionally done with Nolan out there and Kolik, and be able to see these things grow just on rainwater was pretty amazing. So the ones on your left side, the top left is after a monsoon had come through, the field is producing just on rainwater, and this was just the start of it. Right down the middle is Kyle Snowball, which is we went out first thing in the morning to be able to harvest the corn with Sandy River Co-op. They started a little bit earlier than we did, but no, to be able to have the experience to see how someone that took the modern technology and putting traditional crops together was really something that can be done and be done on a larger scale. So I know Kyle's spreading out the corn. They're in big pile, but he's spreading them out so that the corn could dry out a little bit so they don't mold and spoil or start rotting on each other's. And then you see the yellow meat watermelon that was growing here in Ajo. And as far as the adopted crop program, being able to rejuvenate our seeds and be able to have seeds to give out for next year, as friends and families and are beginning to get into growing food. Now, this gives them an opportunity to do it where they're from, and it's pretty unique to see how how families are taking the knowledge that we give them and doing it for themselves, or they're learning it from other places, and they're just growing and becoming better at it. Whether it's raised beds or sunken beds or lasagna gardens or just different aspects. Um, and part of those things are just being done. And of course, when the monsoon comes, you have the before and after. You see Nolan and on the next to the planter with Elijah and showing them how to plant using the equipment. And then you have the after the rain where everything comes up, and not just the beans, but or the corn or the squash or the melons, but you have the weeds that come up. And just being able to stay on top of it is probably one of the hardest things. And just from this year, it was hard for both Santa Vera and Colic to stay on top of the produce because on top of the weeds because of the consistent monsoons that they were getting. You know, it was really hard. Our soil is really clay soils, and in both Santa Vera and Colic. And when that clay absorbs all the water, it takes a couple of days to dry out. But when you don't get those couple of days to dry out, it would rain 1 or 2 days in a row, and then it would break, and then next you'll have 1 or 2 days in between, and then it would rain again, and the water and the fields were just consistently always muddy. And when you're doing large scale agriculture and you have equipment, now the mud just plays a big factor in how well you can use your equipment, or even hand tools. Being able to do that by hand tools. And then the bottom left corner here is actually with their apprentices learning how to grow food. Now we were asked by, and also we did a traditional blessing this time around this time before the monsoons came. We did it. Nolan invited someone to do a traditional blessing to bless the field and to bless the seeds. And when that came, what came out of that was someone from the Himdaki, or the Tohono Cultural Museum, came out and wanted to rejuvenate their field over there at the museum. So we spent the whole morning pulling out weeds and preparing to plant. And this is what you see right before we started planting. This was just when everything got cleared out. So we went back there just a couple of weeks ago to help give help the person that's taking care of the garden more information, more help. Go ahead and move to the next one, Keelan. So we're getting pretty close. This is August. Not so much of a monsoon season, but still a good good monsoon rain though to keep things going. As you can see, the autumn squash is growing. We just came from there this morning to fix the irrigation that broke on us, and was able to and we were able to fix it. But we were also to see good to see that some of this stuff is still growing. Cowlick or coconut over there. I know Amy brought out a group during this time, but no, that's the temporary bean, the bough growing in the field. This is something that No, when you go out there and you see it, it's just really amazing. And then actually just, see this just growing the way that it has. And I have seen it over during my apprenticeship program, being able to see it grow. And it's just really amazing, compared to what it looked like before. On the bottom picture, uh, um, of course, no, there's no good way to grow food unless um, to not just grow food, but there's no good way to protect yourself from the animals, and good fences and being out there consistently taking care of it helps things grow. And I believe down here in the bottom, this was part of the some of it got eaten up by the animals, and a replanting was done. And this is something that we know we don't sugarcoat it. There's a lot of things that do happen with the animals, or cattle, horses, rabbits, deer, javelinas. All these things, all these animals uh, do come into the field to eat things up, and then you have to replant. There's no other way than just to go ahead and replant, and that's what these guys are doing. Learning, the ups and downs of farming. Go ahead and go to the next one, Keelan. And we're up to this month right now. Like was said earlier, we do come out to Santa Barbara to learn and to have experience. Now, this part of this apprenticeship program is giving experience on how continue to grow both traditional foods and non-traditional foods. And maybe every guy's been to Santa Barbara, they do grow a lot of traditional foods. They also grow hay. They also grow different other herbs and also fruit. And they also were able to grow a big 1 acre field of sunflowers. And these are the things that they got to be a part of. And I'm so grateful for Santa Barbara for letting us be a part of it and be able to gain some knowledge for them to take home and share, or to grow, to expand on. And fixing the wattle, making sure that wattles are probably one of the things, are ramadas. Some of you guys that may not understand ramadas, are iconic images of feast houses and communities and homes. And there's not a place on the reservation you go to that you don't see one in a community or someone's house are being put up for celebrations as a place of gathering. But these guys are fixing one due to the storm. The squash field here, Santa Barbara is growing tons of squash, really big squash, and mind you too as well. I wish we put that picture on there. This one that's it's really big. It looks like half of a person. It feels like it's but all this and the guys who were able to plant this field, they're actually able to see how it's growing. And I hope they get to see what happens to it after, whether they just put it in the harvest it, or whether they traditionally preserve it by making squash ropes. But that's for the future. But I think this is the end of the slide. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to. So these were just the highlights of what the apprenticeship program has done over the last 9 months, and we saw the good highlights, but also wanted to just talk about what were the difficulties on learning how to farm, or just the program itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and have I'm gonna turn it to Juke. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Juke, and he could talk about what was one of the hardest things uh, that he has done or um, did this month.
For me, some of the struggles, I have to say for sure would be the rain. There's a lot of rain that was on and off, and it's just something that I know not only us, but everybody struggled with almost everywhere we went. You know, it's something that, you know, it is a blessing, you know, for us to have as much rain as we got, but some of the plants, you know, they got a little too much rain to where it was becoming a problem, and some of them were like wilting, or some of the fruit was going bad, and you know, it was a lot. And like Nolan mentioned about us getting stuck out there in Cowlick, I mean, that was something that happened out of nowhere, and you know, we were determined to, you know, get our seeds in the ground because the rain was coming, and out there that's all we have. We don't have faucets or anything out there to water the plants with. And you know, he was determined, so you know, he got us going, and you know, we pushed through, and we wanted to get the seeds in the ground before all that storm came through. And little did we know that all the water was already coming through, and we got stuck out there. And you know, I was one of the ones that was like pretty irritated because I did have plans that evening, and you know, I was like, I mean, I had a feeling it was gonna happen, but you know, again, you know, we were determined because you know, nobody else was gonna plant that stuff, and we needed to get it in the ground, so we got it in the ground. And like he said, you know, it was a good feeling being out there. It was really amazing to see that all that water that we just got little sprinkles there on the field ourselves, but to see all that water come in and fill the fields, and you know, give our plants life, you know, to know that we put those seeds in the ground and there was getting water. And it was pretty amazing to be there and to see as much water as came through. I mean, being out in the desert, it's such a blessing. And I guess another one would be traveling. You know, I have a daughter, and you know, it's hard being away from her as much as I am, but you know, she knows that I do enjoy this, and you know, I do tell her that, you know, everything I do is for her, and I'm showing her, you know, that this is something that, you know, that is a part of us. She's grown up seeing me planting and growing stuff, and you know, I want to see her grow on or go on, and you know, when she grows up, you know, that she's doing the same thing. And you know, there's a few other ones too, but I'll go ahead and pass it on.
One of the most difficult things for me was we had gotten a flat on the tractor, and it took us like all day to try to we took it off, and then we were trying to switch the tire, and me, Elijah, and Nolan, and we tried to take that. We did take the tire off, but we took it back to the field, and yeah, we're working on it for like 4 hours or something, 5 hours, something like that. Man, it just beat us up. We were all burned out. Me, Nolan, and Elijah were like, man, this tractor kicked our ass. But yeah, that was one of my most difficult things.
Some of the difficult things probably just be weeds, managing the weeds, not so much in the small scale beds, but in the fields, just you know, trying to, like, for me, weeding thoroughly, but when the plants are watered, and for it just to kind of look the same in like a week or so. And also the rains, like Juke talked about. No, so just having to do things in a small amount of time, because the rains are coming or it's going to rain, and kind of having to rush. And also, like Juke said, traveling, I never really, everything we do, I never really considered it work. I mean, it is work, and it is hot, and it is draining, but I never really thought of it as work. But the only thing I really dread, like going to Cal, like or traveling far, is just the drive when you're coming back after a day's work. But that's about it. Everything else is pretty interesting and fun.
Nolan. Nolan, if there's anything this year that that was difficult for you with the apprentices
You're
or challenge
oh
or
probably
challenging?
just giving up the having patience and giving up the tractor to other people. You know, wanting to get things done fast. Way I've learned how to work fast, and just giving up the tractor and that time and teaching, being patient. And like I said, I've been through this 20 years, and I know the importance of teaching people to give guys like me a break. But it was kind of difficult for me at times to hand over the keys to someone else and to teach them and to have the patience. But it's gonna pay off because then I won't have to work so hard, and it's teaching new people, and who knows how many people they're gonna teach in their future. And the times, half of the times, the work doesn't even seem like work because we're out there in the field joking around. But the difficulties of giving things up and turning them over to somebody else, and just the elements, the heat, and the repetitive, some like this, Elijah mentioned, the weeds you go through, and then like in a couple weeks they're back up again. But it all pays off when you see your harvest, and that's what we're getting ready to do. And it's just rewarding, and it's a rejuvenation when you see the rewards of your hard work and labor. And that's it.
Thank you. Joshua, what were the Raymond or Joshua, what were the difficulties that you faced with the apprentices or this year?
For myself, I think the challenge was finding something to do after, because as I mentioned before, it usually takes us all day to plant a field, and having those guys like really helped us out, and it helped us train them more heavy equipment and had more time for questions. And a lot of the time we just worked on seed, which is tedious, especially the temporary beans. But yeah, that's I think what's the challenge for us, is just finding different things for them to hear.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I understand that portion. Yeah, when I'm really grateful for Santa Vera. You guys may not understand it. It's just a few people that are working the fields, and some of it's done by the tractor work, and it's usually someone that has to be that that knows how to operate it. Safety is always the first thing that comes up, whether it comes to hand tools, to mechanical, tractors, hand tools, and electric tools, gas powered tools. Safety is always our main concern, and also when people And when you're just used to just having a few people, it's a little tough. I could see where Josh, where a lot of things, if- um, just being with them and being there, being able to be there with them and um, working with Santa Ver, on the days I was able to be there. The guys had a joke going around. It's like, oh, we're just like that one show, Bar Rescue. Instead of it's bar, it's farm rescue, and it was really helping out. And part of that learning experience was being able to be there with on the ground and knowing that sometimes they said, oh, usually takes us 2 days to do it, and we did it in a day and a half, planting the field or working the field. But knowing that the guys now, Sammy, Raymond, Josh, and then Francie, and then some of the admin staff coming out and helping out whenever they could. But just knowing that we're able to do the work and uh, turn things around, and and I know there's other plans for the guys to come out and still learn more stuff for the future. So, but yeah, just knowing that part. I do want to leave it open for Q&A. Um, so, uh, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask the last question. I want to leave this open for Q&A. If you have any questions, do put it in the chat box, or if you want to wait till the end, you can unmute and ask here virtually. But yeah, so part of the so this is for everyone. What's one advice you would give people getting into farming? What was one thing that stuck out to you the most, that it still sticks to your head, or you learn, something that you learned on your own, that or someone said to you, it really, I want to be able to I want to be able, this is the last question that I wanted to ask for everyone, because um, it is something that keeps us going. Both in all aspects of life, mental, spiritual, emotional. These are kind of things that kind of, for myself, keep myself going. But I wanted to see if there was any advice that you could give to anybody, especially the princesses. What are your advice to people who are thinking about getting into agriculture? What's one thing you would tell them?
One of the main things for me, I can say, is patience. Patience is like, one of the main keys. Having to deal with whatever the day puts in front of you. Planting, especially planting, you plant something, if it comes out of a seed packet, it'll tell you when it's gonna come up and when you're gonna harvest, but it's never the same. As long as I've been doing this every year, it's always different. It's something new. And like this year, with the rain and the heat, it's a lot. All the weeds, just patience. You having to plant again. Some of the areas that we've planted, we've had to plant beans 4 or 5 times because the animals were eating it, or the seeds were getting washed away. And we just try and try again. That's all you can do, especially if you're making a living out of this, or if you really want that crop, that you have to be calm and talk to your plants, nurture them, feed them, because they are babies, and they're gonna feed you. And one of the things that I heard was pretty interesting from Morgan out there that works in Sanavir was that the seeds are babies. I've always heard them as babies, but they're also our elders because, you know, and to me, I saw it as, yeah, it's a baby because it's going to start, it's going to grow. But at the same time, in order to get that seed, you have to see the plant all the way through. So really that seed is almost the beginning of the end at the same time. And, you know, you put it in the ground and talk to it and, you know, it'll take care of you as you take care of it. So patience.
Mine would be my advice to give would probably be like basically the same as Juke said. You gotta be patient because then not only that, but you gotta expect the worst and just pray for the best because you don't know what's gonna happen to your crop. You don't know if it's gonna live or is the birds gonna eat it or the animals gonna eat it or is the bugs or does it have a disease or like it's like you just gotta expect the worst and pray for the best. So that way, if your crops don't come out or if you don't get a good season, that way you'll be prepared for it. Be prepared for like how you're gonna feel to not see, like Duke said, see your children grow up. So yeah, that's my advice.
Mine is, yeah, similar to these guys. Just don't give up. A lot of trial and error. Every seed you plant, there's a chance that it might not come up or it's gonna get eaten or other things. And just keep trying. And it could just be applied to life in general, just to keep pushing and never give up. And before you know it, you'll have a very successful harvest or very meeting your goals. But that'll be mine.
Nolan, any advice to um, that you received in your time as being a farmer that you would say to somebody else?
Yeah, well, don't give up, but also take a break. Give yourself a rest. A lot of times when I was younger, I burned myself out and keep going for the season, and I didn't give myself enough break as I should have. So now that I'm older, I take that time, I take that weekend, or I take a couple days where I just give myself a rest, and I make sure that it's fun for me.
Okay. Thank you, Nolan. Joshua, I know you've been in there for a little bit, but um, any advice you got since being the grower farmer in Santa Fe?
Well, from a business perspective, uh, being a traditional farmer is hard, knowing that there's not many seed stock out there, and there's more demand than there is supply, and we need more farmers like Kyle, like Elijah, like Sterling and Nina and Nolan who want to continue those ways that want to bring back the food. Um, and it's always a learning process too. Um, like Juke said, no season is ever the same. We're still trying to evolve our techniques, whether that be roasting corn for gaisa or harvesting beans or coming up with a new soup mix or trying a new crop. Just can't be afraid of the challenges. So that's all I have for my advice.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Nolan. Um, no, those are all good advice, especially uh, people just not, people just not giving up, people wanting to continue to grow. Uh, Now, for us, they could probably look at us all of us, and you know, we, we continue to grow in mind, body, spirit, and heart. Our emotions. We learn how to be in control of them. We learn how to uh, let go of things. We learn how to take in things, especially now where you know, people say education is the key. And yeah, it's right. It may not be school education, but education, farming education. Um, some people learn better hands-on experience. Some people like to learn things by the book, or what they read. Um, some people are visual, and some people are it's really how people put things together, and I'm really excited to have everyone that's on this panel has been a you know, big help to these guys' learning, not just um, Nolan, Joshua, uh, Farmer Frank, and people in between. There's people that we met for a second and then shared a little bit and gave us more than what we can learn, especially when it comes down to traditions. I'll just throw it out there, like Amy Wan, um, shares the traditional songs and with us, and it really makes us become aware. It makes us connected to who we are as people and how to keep moving on as autumn people in the future, especially culture, the language. Um, every so often, I'll say something in autumn and explain something to the guys or into a group, and it's and the autumn language is very it's the has its own ways of interpretations and also how it's spoken to as well. People have just ways of saying things and are doing things, and they're not right or wrong. It's just how people choose to do them. And for us, for Ajo CSA, I like the way we are set up. We have two or three fields, and they're all different. One is perfect soil, another one's sandy soil, another one's sand and um, mineral soil, and the other one's purely just clay soil. Well, 4 locations altogether as an organization, and they're able to learn these ways different and learn how to grow and become um, grow on all these different surfaces, and they get to pick and choose after they're done with this program. They get to pick and choose what they prefer to do and what they're good at. Or sometimes they'll go and say, "Oh, I want to get good at doing this, doing it this way on this type of soil." And it's a lot of all of this is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But I do wanted to leave it open for Q&A. So if there's anybody that has questions, I know someone asked earlier about our work. Currently, we're just within the Southwest region of Arizona right now. We're hoping to have we're and this program is this program was able to do this both on and off the reservation, and to be able to grow this program and be able to be where we're at right now. We're currently aren't able to do Texas or New Mexico or Nevada right now. It's just Arizona and the southwestern portion. There are other people who are doing trainings in northern Arizona too as well. Those were part of our earlier Foodways gatherings. If you're interested, you can find that on Facebook or YouTube. Either one, they have a link that takes you directly to the video. Another one said, this program covers a lot of things. Cover crop, we do everything from drip irrigations, timers, flood irrigation, traditional upton farming, dryland farming, and cover crops. No, it's probably something that we don't do very much, but I do tell the guys that it does come in handy to do cover crops, especially in this particular area of Arizona. We can't grow year round. We at most we probably see maybe less than a week of below freezing temperatures, maybe a week. When it gets really cold, then we could probably see 2 weeks, but never more than 2 weeks. It's really particularly easy for us to grow food and not really have to worry about frost. But cover crop is what how things do work out for us. It really does work out for us, especially cover crops and planting that way, doing it that way. It does to help, and that's probably something I get to do this time around was cover crop, but it does work. A question: someone who was interested in how your garden's doing, how it's working out. Take one.
Well, the beans, I just harvested pods recently. I got about a handful, and the seeds that I planted of Jeffrey beans are actually from Santa Vera, so the colors were pretty dark and it looked really, really nice. And recently, a whole bunch of a storm came through, high winds, and it knocked down like a lot of my corn. And I wasn't sure what to do, and I just kind of let it sit. And I was trying to move some of them upward, but they didn't stay up. They just fell loose. But slowly, I didn't touch it, and I realized that some of them did just stand up on their own and still produce corn. The corn came out good. Cherry beans came out good, and the squash vined everywhere. And so far, I only harvested one, but it was successful. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Elijah. I was wondering that myself too. I know. With doing day-to-day work, it gets pretty. I am doing day-to-day work. It's really hard to keep track of your own garden if you're doing your own garden. It's really becoming. It really is becoming something that people are doing now, and especially getting families involved. It does help, and it also gives people teaching experience, learning experience on why food is important for our own traditional foods. And we're on here with several other people, especially Hopi. Hopi tribe out here is on here with us, but our sour foods are very important because of the because of who we are and where we come from, and we share the similar kinds of foods, and these seeds are probably the same or a little bit different, but they adapt it to our climate and become resilient and strong. People to be in the traditional song that was shared by Amy. That's what they're asking the plants to do, to vine out, to be strong. I'm going back to the chat. The cow patties, we don't really do manure. On the drying field, it's all just what's in the field, turning over the what grasses are growing up out here, and then in Ajo we don't do manure, we just do compost because we have several beds that are 4 feet wide and anywhere from 10 feet to 20 feet long. So we don't really do that. There is a panel. There is a survey that's up on your screen. If you guys can do us a favor and please answer these questions. These are questions that we're asking all of participants to answer. While we're doing that, I know Caitlin, if we can put down the information, I do want to talk about from some of the work that Ajo CSA has done besides the ag apprenticeship program. We've been doing the ag apprenticeship program for almost 4 years. And with our 4 years of just being able to do small scale to large scale farming, we created this Arizona Workforce Development Bill with our legislation out here in Arizona. We were able to pass a bill that is going to be able to give over $1 million to farmers of all sizes, small and large, opportunity to get funding, receive funding to help train new farmers. This is open to everyone. This is and this was also based on our training because we talked to Farmer Frank, we talked to Santa Barbara Co-op, we talked to Nolan, we talked to Michael. Sorry, Michael. Everybody knows him as Hopi Michael. Over there in up there in by K-Town, we asked for his advice, and knowing that there in Navajo Nation, several of the Navajo people are doing this workforce development on their own and are doing this and paying this either through grants, and this will just help supplement that training. So we're actually to lead to this is we're actually leading. We're actually having a listening session on October 14th. We will have links to our social media, Facebook. So if you want to be a part of that listening session and how this is going to work and how valuable this is going to be for us as farmers, both small or big scale. And if you have any questions, you definitely can leave this up. You can definitely ask those questions. So for us, the links are in the chat box if anybody's interested in learning about more about this, learning about this initiative that we have done in Ajo CSA, and with some of our partners in Arizona that help push this together, made this possible. And with everyone that over the years, we've been pushing this bill for the last 3 years, wanting to get it passed so that this is something that's not new. Many on the East Coast, a lot of this is considered a workforce development. So if you just like now, if you want to go to DAS, you wanted to be a trucker, or you want to be a carpenter, a welder. These are all considered for workforce development, and you are actually get your training paid for. Well, and these are all done in other states, but Arizona was one of the states that never developed this this program to help continue the farming growing, because the age of farmers are pretty high. It's 60. It's 65 is the average age of a farmer, and compared to other professions, it's probably like 45. So now a lot of younger people are getting to these things. So if you're a farmer, or you're someone that has just wanted to support agripreneurship programs for the future, this is not just to farming, this is also for ranchers too as well. So if you're sheep herder, or you're and you have a business, or you're a nonprofit that's teaching about how to maintain sheep, or you're a cowboy, you're out there on the desert or out in your lands, and you're and you want to be able to hire someone to do this, to help you and train them. Now this is teaching about how to work with the cattle, or a pig farmer, or a chicken farm, raising the eggs. These are all just for different parts of agriculture. So with that, now thank you guys for the questions in the chat box. Thank you, Elijah, Kyle, Jude, Joshua, Nolan. Thank you guys for being on this panel and sharing this a little moments of this ag apprenticeship program. And yeah, I was really grateful to be able to share these guys for them to share their stories. So with that, no, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That was a great presentation, a great panelist. So again, we are going to be having a squash burrito cooking demonstration soon. So I would like to introduce Yvonne Kei, who is a certified master gardener, educating and promoting eating healthier and with more vegetables in their diet. Help promote self-sufficiency by helping others grow food in their garden. So let me hand it over to Yvonne. Yvonne, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I hope you
So
see my.
I will leave it up to you now, Yvonne.
sound down a little bit. I'm sorry,
All
we
right.
have two laptops running the same.
Okay,
so
well, you're
we're
on.
audio. Can you turn mine up a little bit, please? So good morning, everybody. It's really good to I can see some of you, so it's good to hear you all and see you this morning. My name is Yvonne K. I just recently last year became a certified master gardener for the Navajo County cooperative. Well, actually, it's through the Navajo County Cooperative Extension Office here in Arizona, and I just wanted to share a little bit about something that we have a lot. We actually make this a lot in my family, my kids. It's one of the very few vegetable heavy dishes that they'll actually eat. So it's really pretty simple. I don't have really a set, really rigid recipe for this because, like I said, we like to use whatever we're growing, whatever's in season, whatever we're harvesting, that's pretty much what we're going to throw into our burrito. So let me start with our tortilla. My sister was helping me earlier make some tortillas. We always make our own. It's just faster, easier. We can't go to the store for really too much. We're really rural. So making a lot of these things and growing them is really something that we're trying to, get more people to do is be more self-sufficient, grow your own food. And just like what everyone was talking about today, it's something we're just trying to reintroduce into our communities. And so my tortilla, I'm really sorry, I don't have a really set recipe for this either. I have flour, baking powder, a little bit of salt, maybe about a teaspoon of each, and maybe I guess a couple cups, 2 cups of flour, about a tablespoon of, teaspoon of baking powder, maybe a teaspoon of salt. You mix that together, the dry ingredients, and put maybe, I'm trying to think of how much a scoop is in my hand, maybe about a 1/4 cup of lard. And we'll mix that together, add some warm water. I actually added some blue meal into my tortillas. My mom likes to remind us to add it into everything. It's really nutritious. It's a really big part of our diet. And I found out just recently that my daughter will have pretty much any kind of food. If you put some blue meal in it, she definitely has our palate. So I like to put this in a lot of our food. And I don't know if you can, I hope you can see some of it. My lighting isn't the best, but this is what it looks like when it's browned. It's really, really fine. And like I said, we add it to a lot of our foods because of the nutritional content of it. And so that's what I usually serve my burritos on. And I just want to let everybody know I'm not the cook in our family. Of course, I've grown up learning how to cook and feed my family and everything like that. But I kind of can help you a little bit more with how to grow some of these things that we're using. So if I'm missing some things with the food part of it, I apologize. That's not exactly my forte. My aunts, my mom, they're the cooking gurus. They really can whip up, all kind of stuff, but I'm trying to just do what I can. So bear with me. I'm really sorry if I'm not very clear, but okay. So that's the tortilla. I have for my filling, I just used maybe about 2-3 pounds of ground beef. I use a lot because I have a big family. I can never make a little bit of something. We have to always cook in big amounts. So if you're only cooking for yourself, maybe about a pound of ground beef should be good. But if you see right here by me, I have a pretty good sized pan. So this is definitely not gonna last very long. Like I said, we have a big family, so everybody's always hungry. We're big eaters. Hi, sweetie. Here's one right now. Sorry, she was helping me with the bread earlier. So of course, like I said, food and cooking is always something we teach our children at a young age. I grew up learning how to cook from my aunts, my mom, my grandma. They really have always been a big part of my learning in that aspect. So I'm sorry, back again to the filling. I have a ground beef that I ground, and I use some of our summer squash that we got from our garden. I used a little bit smaller one because the smaller squash are the more flavorful squash. My nephews, they're experts at growing super huge squash. So I try to use that as much as I can, but if we don't get out there quick enough, no, they'll get huge and they're not as flavorful as some of the smaller squash. And summer squash, you gotta keep up with those pretty good because they can grow up to 1 inch a day. It's pretty crazy how summer squash can grow. So I'm using some of that from our garden, some zucchini, yellow summer squash, and I also have some onions here that I just cut up. I like to try to use most of the stem here. Anything that I take off, we try to compost. My mom has a compost bucket actually right here with the lid on it. So I try to use that as much as I can and try not to waste. She does keep worms and have a compost bin outside that she uses for any of our scraps. So of course, reminding everybody to compost and try not to waste as much as you can. So when I chopped up my onions, I used probably almost all of the stem too as well. So I tried to get almost all the way to the end. It could start getting a little wilty. So those are the pieces that I threw into the meat. I'm sorry. Excuse me. So those two are in here. I was actually gonna throw in some of our chili, but my daughter is gonna be eating with us, so I might have to make a little separate batch for that. But whatever you have in season, right now we're harvesting tomatoes. We've been harvesting squash for a while. Corn, I usually throw corn in here. Fresh corn is really, really good in squash burritos. Let me see. We threw some, I actually put some in there along with some other spices. It's like salt. I like to throw some cumin in there. We have fresh garlic that we use. Let me see, what else did I put in here? I put some chili powder in there. Just, whatever your preference is, really. There's not a rigid recipe for this. So I threw in something. This is in white man's terms, let me see, lemon weed, I believe it's called lemon weed or lemon scent. So there's some of it dry here that my mom cleaned and prepared already. And I just crushed up some of that and put it straight into the meat while it was cooking. And that just adds a nice lemony flavor. Yeah, hello, good morning. And this is some of it fresh. It hasn't been dried yet. I'm sorry, my camera isn't the greatest, but just trying to, yeah, maybe you can put it into, it's really, I wish you could smell it through the camera. It's just really, really flavorful, a really nice lemon flavor. So I would like to throw that in a lot of our meat. Like you said, the cooks of my family all come out to harvest and all have their stashes of all their different herbs that we're foraging around here. So we throw all kind of stuff in here. So there's like no wrong way to do this. You don't have to use ground beef if you don't want to. Use maybe some chicken and throw some shredded chicken in there or something. So it's really up to you. Totally your preference. I'm just gonna wrap this really quick. I browned everything, like I said. When you throw in the squash, it's gonna be like a good pile, but that'll cook down. So don't be shy with your squash. You're gonna have to kind of pile it on there, and as it cooks, it'll start to cook down a little bit. So you'll get room in your pan after a while. And so I'm just gonna fill this really quick. And my sisters, my auntie, every one of the ladies in my family would not forgive me if I did not put cheese on this squash burrito. We put cheese on everything. Don't skimp on our cheese, my auntie would say. So put some cheese on here. You don't have to. Again, this is totally our preference. We're just a cheese living family, I guess. And I'm sorry, sweetie, hold on. And so I'm just gonna roll this up, and we have our burrito. So like I said, I like to use whatever we have growing. Right now I'm harvesting some atomic grape tomatoes. Those are really sweet, and they've actually been growing pretty good in my self-wicking beds. So I think I'm gonna try them again next year. But whatever you have that you're harvesting, that you're growing, or whatever's in season in the grocery store, if you're not able to have your own garden, just try different things. It's really, there's no wrong way to do this. I haven't come up with a squash burrito recipe that I haven't liked. So I mean, you can really put. I wish I could give a little more detailed, I guess, step-by-step instruction, but that's just not how we really cook our food. Like I said, we use what we have, whatever's growing. There's a lot of things that are really coming into season, so those will be, like I said, available in the grocery stores if you need, if you don't have your garden, but or if you're sorry, I have a little bread thief over here who is she's making my stuff. Yeah, so she was wanting. I'm sorry if you couldn't hear me. I was trying to. I have my little one in here, and she's running around. So she was helping me, like I said, with the bread earlier. But now I think she's more interested in eating it. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. Like I said, I can't really answer too many of the food related questions, but any of the growing, I can help you a little bit more with, and maybe follow up. I can't read the chat, so I'm not sure if.
How would you rate?
Right here, the mouse is.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone has any questions, you can unmute, or I'm trying to monitor the chat if there's any chat questions. I'm not sure, maybe someone can read it out loud for me. But yeah, there's no real there's not really a recipe for this. You can find tortillas, I think pre-made tortillas in stores too. Like I said, we just don't have access to it, and we can make it, so there's no reason to be going to the stores to buy anything because we have everything we need here. And so, do we have any questions? I'm not sure. If I apologize if I forgot something or if I went a little too fast. This is my first food demo. It's not really my forte, but I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. We definitely enjoyed it. So I'm a little jealous because you get to eat the burrito and we can't. So, but thank you so much.
Thanks, Yvonne. You did a great job. I got to tell your sister you did a good job. I screenshot, so I'm going to show your brother.
One of my sisters was going to be on her hearing about this, so I made sure to let everybody know. They're the ones that are usually the food gurus. Yeah. My sister.
Yeah, she's got a lot of summer squash and zucchini too. Your sister.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good year for summer squash, and but unfortunately, it's been a pretty good year for the squash bugs too. So kind of monitor that. I don't know if anyone else is having those problems, but we're managing.
Okay, good na.
Where do you get the blue meal? So we, like I said, we source things ourselves. The blue meal, we actually, my family raises the blue corn. My grandfather and my uncles, my family, like I said, they raise the blue corn. We'll dry and store it, and start the process of making the blue meal. It's a pretty long process. We have to shell the corn, clean it, dry it, roast it, grind it. It's a pretty lengthy process. So it is a very valuable. So I try not to overuse too much, but it's definitely a very tasty thing to have. And like I said, it's very nutritious. So it's that's kind of, you can find some, I think, in grocery stores, but I'm sorry, let me see, how can I say this? The grind won't be the same. It won't have the same texture as the kind that I'm using here, but definitely try it. I mean, there's definitely good nutrition in that flour. So you can find some in grocery stores. We use the blue meal that my family makes and processes themselves. Oh, okay. So, okay, so I'm gonna show, my sister's gonna bring the itzma to the camera. The dry, the itzma is in the container, and I'm so sorry, my vision, the lighting here is awful, but I hope you can see. There's also, my family, my mom actually uses this Hopi cookbook a lot, and it has a little bit more. Let me maybe the pictures on here. Let me make sure to show the pictures on here.
So here's the plant.
It's an annual plant that grows. It's a low shrub. It grows really low to the ground. They're nice bright flowers. I swear, when you walk by, even just a little tiny small bush, you can smell it. You'll smell the lemon in the air. It doesn't even have, I did it just the other day. I was at work, and it's just been popping up here and there. And usually I don't see it around, but I was walking along on the sidewalk, and I swear a bush maybe that big, just a small little tiny bush, and it stopped me in my tracks. I could smell it when I walked by, and I'm like, what is that? That smells familiar. And I looked down at the ground. Sure enough, there was a tiny little plant of it, but it's really, really fragrant. Our name for it is but like I said, the English name for it is lemon scent or lemon weed. Yeah. I believe it's from the Aster family, the sunflower family. So it's related to what is it, some of those, it's like sunflowers, and it's really, it's been easier to find out after we had all that rain, the monsoons. That's why it's been popping up all over the place. We usually have to kind of go out and look for it, and it only comes up in some places that get the more moisture. But it likes really sandy soil, I guess, like a sandy loam. That's what it grows best in. And it actually grows all over the Southwest. So from, I think, Texas to Lower California, you can find it. So if you just go out and, like I said, around sandy, loamy areas, you can find those. So, and like I said, you can smell it. So what's that? I don't know if I'm sorry, I didn't see the raised hand. I don't know if anyone had another question.
The person that had raised hand, could you unmute and ask your question, or did we already answer it? I think she was typing in the chat as well. But
Okay.
yeah, there was someone that raised their hand, and if you could please unmute and ask your question. I think maybe you did already answer her question, but again, thank you so much for this amazing demonstration of the squash burrito. So I would like to thank you again, Yvonne, and let's try to get Valerie on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Good
Thank you so much for
morning,
sharing.
everybody.
Hey, Valerie. So let me
Thank you
do.
for the hi.
No, go ahead. You're fine. If you want to do introductions, and Valerie Novestiwa will be. I'm so sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Will be
That's
doing
okay.
the moderating for the Hopi Tesqua Permaculture Institute Leadership Program. So she's the mentor, and she'll also be talking with other mentors and the apprentices that participated in this summer's program. All right, Valerie, you're on.
Thank you, Terrell, for the introduction. My name is Valerie Novais Tiwa Hahai Imanayanma Tiwa Tewa Epkita Kaeongwa. I'm Tewa Corn Clan from the village of Tewa. My English name is Valerie Novais Tiwa. My Hopi name is Hahai Imana, which is the mother of the Kachinas. I'm also not a mentor of HTPI, just to make that correction. I'm the board president for Hopi Tutsqua Permaculture Institute. So I don't know if a lot of people know that. I don't really tell a lot of people, but that's who I am, and that's why I'm moderating this panel, because there's a lot of great programs that Hopi Tutsqua Permaculture have, and I feel that now more than ever, life skills like this are needed to be taught to our young adults, our young people. We need to get them more involved with farming, raising their own food. I'm doing the same thing with my own family and my grandkids, making sure that they know how to stand on their own 2 feet, because, you know, we saw the pandemic, people getting crazy and hoarding food and toilet paper and all kinds of things that, you know, we really need to go back to our roots. We really need to go back to what our ancestors put before us to sustain our health and the longevity of our lives. So that's why I'm involved with HTPI, which is led, actually right now, our executive director will be leaving, Lillian Hill. She's her and her husband Jacobo Marcus established HTPI back in 2004. And she's actually going to be leaving us, which is a little sad. She's, well, a little sad for us, but we're happy that she's going on to bigger and brighter things. She'll be the executive director for Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance. So some of you may have seen that announcement made, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview of HTPI, because you don't want to hear me talking this whole time. You came to hear the interns talk. So Hopi Tutsqua Permaculture Institute is a community-based nonprofit founded in 2004 and based in the village of Kikutsmuvi, which is located in northern Arizona on the Hopi Reservation. Their mission is to create community-based solutions in order to pass knowledge and life skills to future generations and rebuild culturally sustainable and healthy communities. In Hopi, Hopi Tutsqua refers to the lifeways and knowledge of the land and soil. The origins of Hopi Tutsqua permaculture stem from a deep commitment to maintain the distinct identity and lifeways as Hopi people in order to pass knowledge to future generations. They accomplish their goals and visions with the support of the villages, the communities, and families in ways that honor the cultural practices of the Hopi people. They are a grassroots movement that organize and work directly with parents, elders, farmers, gardeners, youth, and traditional village leaders, school administrators, and tribal programs. They also work in collaboration with many groups locally, regionally, and nationally to advocate for social change in relation to food security, community economic development, alternative energy, landscape and water restoration, and to help create proactive solutions to impending shifts associated with global climate change. As my daughter was mentioning earlier, that the climate has really affected the way that the farmers and gardeners are growing their crops now. There was a prophecy, Hopi prophecy, that stated that in the future, this is what our ancestors told us, that Hopi would be planting while wearing gloves and on their hands because it's so cold. What I feel, that was told to us long time ago, but I feel that it doesn't necessarily mean like a doom, and I don't know how to explain this, but I feel that what we need to do is adapt to the changes of the climate change. We need to adapt our planting techniques, our farming techniques, because this isn't the first time that this has happened within the history, within the thousands of years that we've been here. Our ancestors faced this type of obstacles and barriers also, but they learned to adapt and change to the climate by listening to the land and to the plants and animals all around. So I feel that's the things that we need to, those are the things that we need to do now. We need to adapt and change as the climate changes is changing the way we're planting as well. The various programs that HTPI offer are the Youth Permaculture Program, which focuses on building leadership among Hopi youth ages 12 to 18. Another program is the Hopi Permaculture Apprenticeship Program, and it's a 6-month training program that supports young adults in developing leadership skill to strengthen local food systems and to implement sustainable ecological projects within the Hopi community. This program is designed so that the participants become mentors, and you'll be hearing from some of those mentors today. So they can mentor themselves and their family and their village members or whoever wants to learn. This program focuses on capturing and utilizing rainwater, stormwater, gray water to irrigate the landscapes with native and edible plants, utilizing local natural material to build homes, demonstrating ways to grow healthy and nutritious food, and utilizing passive solar greenhouses that can grow food year-round, and also orchard restoration and revitalization. And that's how I initially got connected with Hopi Titswa permaculture way back when, was when we were, our family, my brother, my parents, my sisters, they were all trying to help restore the orchard here that our grandfather left for us. Our grandfather, Yu Young Herman Lewis, planted trees, Granny Smith apple trees. He planted the Hopi apricot and peach trees, and also Concord grapes. And as a child, I remember coming into my Saya Clarabelle's home, and she was always cooking all kind of things. She was a cook actually for the Keams Canyon boarding school for many, many years. So she fed a lot of boarding school kids that were rounded up to go to school there at Keams Canyon. And a lot of them, and she's the one who taught all of us the love of cooking that my daughter expressed earlier. And my daughter, just want to make one correction with what she said about her aunts. My sisters, they're actually her mothers too. They're her moms too. So we always have someone watching after our children, not only, me as a mother. If I were to pass away, my sisters as their mothers would take on that role as being their mothers as well. So I just wanted to throw that little explanation in there as well. Going back to what my grandmother taught us, She always taught us not to be angry when you're cooking food, to always taste your food, to always put your hair out of your face and tie it up and put a bandana on when we're cooking, and to always make sure that we're inviting everybody to eat, because that's the way that, you know, our Tewa corn clan is where a lot of people look to us to always have corn available on hand, which is why it's really important that we teach our grandchildren and future generations to learn all these different methods to adapt to climate change. So I want to continue on with the different programs that HTPI offers. Hopi Tisco, they also offer a sustainable home ownership program. They partner with community rebuilds to aid income qualifying families in building affordable and energy efficient passive solar homes. This program makes home ownership affordable for village members, and part of the home building requires the family to put in hours as well to build their home. There's also a natural building student internship program that they're involved with. I won't go into detail because I'm not trying to take the time away from the interns, but also HTPI is also involved with developing the Hopi Farmers Market out here, where they partner with the Hopi Food Co-op, which they are a part of as well. And Not Wani Coalition is also a part of this. And the Hopi Special Diabetes Program also supports this effort to provide a venue for local farmers and gardeners to sell or exchange their fresh produce. And that's something that we as Hopi did a long time ago. My mother shares stories of, my mother, Eva Novayestua, shares stories of the women coming together during a certain time of the year. And I can't recall the name of it, but what they would do is, if they were out of whatever they didn't have ashes, or they didn't have to itzma, or they didn't have corn husks, that was their time to barter and trade within the, you know, the community, within the village. So they were able to help each other so every household was able to have, you know, what they needed for their families. So this is the way that we grew up, learning from my grandparents, learning from my father's side, Leon Novayestua, Ellen Novayestua, Belle Novayestua. They were all green thumbs, and so that's where our heritage is, and where our ancestral lineage is, and why we know it's important to continue this practice. So I just want to also mention that Lillian Hill, like I said, that she is going to be leaving. So we will be looking for someone to fill the executive director position. And we're in the process of doing that now. Jacobo Marquez is the program director for, you know, he oversees all of the programs that I mentioned. So he's actually on right now too. He'll also be letting you all know what this 2021 Hopi Food and Farming Internship Program was about. So I hope I didn't take too long. Sometimes I rattle on about other things that come to my head as I'm speaking, but I would like to pass the mic to Jacobo if you are on.
Hi, good morning. I'm going to be joining just with audio. My internet is not so good. Na Jacobo Yanmatsiwa na Gikotsmovieb Gita na Hongwangwa. And in English, my name is Jacobo. I am of Mexican descent, and came to Hopi almost 20 years ago now, and have been fortunate to have been adopted by the Bear Clan. I'm married there, and as Valerie mentioned, my wife Lillian and I founded the organization Hopi Tutskwa Permaculture quite a few years ago now. And a couple corrections that I'd like to just make. One is that Valerie is very much a mentor to folks within our organization, and also the young people. I know she's very humble in that way, not to call herself that, but people do look at you in that way. So we very much appreciate you as our board president, and our youth participants also have a lot of respect for you in that way. So you are a mentor. The other thing, quickly, just that Lillian will be stepping away as the executive director, but is still going to be very much involved in the organization. The organization is something that was started much like the planting of a seed, where it was very small and has been growing throughout the years. And so it's very dear to us, and we want to see it keep moving forward and flourishing throughout the community. One thing I do like to tell folks in that regard is that it started very humbly, in the sense that when we first began, it was just Lillian and I and our truck, and we were involved in the village, Kikotsmovi village, where we live, and saw that there was just not a lot of opportunities for young people. And so one of the things we started doing right away was connecting young folks with elders in the community, because we also noticed that a lot of the elders were on their own when they were doing different farming activities. And so we found a way to connect the two, whether they were elder basket makers or farmers, or just folks who needed help. We provided a vehicle and just a space and the place to connect the two, so that elders could be spending more time with youth. I think that, as Valerie mentioned, this is something that's really important, because our world is changing and changing pretty quickly, that we need to really provide some sort of security for the community. And a lot of times that just means being a conduit for folks to gather and pass on that knowledge, which is going to ensure the survival into the future. The Summer Vista program that some of the participants are going to talk to you about really had its roots in response. Well, first of all, just because my wife and I love growing food and realize the importance of it, and it's just a complete joy to take part in that cycle. But also it evolved out of a response to a Hopi community food assessment that was done in 2004 by the Natwani Coalition. And a lot of the data, which is somewhat outdated now and was pretty shocking back then. And so today it may be even a little more shocking, but some of it, just to share some of it with you, is that for those of you who may not know, Hopi is in quite a remote location. And one thing that this community food assessment found out is that that Hopis travel over 15 million miles each year to buy food off reservation. And of that, and then there's also another part of it, which is pretty significant, is that, and this is in 2004, 71% of all the food purchased, all of that money was being spent outside the reservation. And so those were just two like of the facts that just were somewhat shocking. And in reading this report, you know, you started finding out all of these different things, like with that travel, there's the estimated 7,000 tons of carbon dioxide goes into the air each year just because of that. And so my wife and I were looking at this report, and you know, and part of it we were saying, well, there is a solution to this, you know, and that's always been present in the Hopi community, which is really trying to support the strengths of Hopi, which is really farming. And so there's still folks in the community who practice this. And it may be fewer at times, and especially these days, but they're still there. And so our thought was, well, how can we support and help the youth to be more involved in this in the farming traditions that exist at Hopi? And so that's where the farming component of the organization really began, just by connecting youth and elders and just doing small activities together, like planting a tree here or planting a tree there with different families, or helping young people start a garden outside of their home, or taking the young people to one of their grandparents who may have needed help at the field. So there is no shortage of activities available to do, but I think our organization has been crucial in being able to find the place, the space, and the means to make those connections. And so throughout the years, this program really developed and became an apprenticeship program. We formalized it a little bit more around 2010, and had a yearly apprenticeship program where participants would gain direct knowledge and experience in the different components that our organization focuses on. And so those being food production, both dry farming, as well as the supporting the different type of agriculture that happens at Hopi as well. Some folks don't know, but there's many different type of agriculture that happens at Hopi. So there's springs that where there's spring terraces that are still being used. For instance, at one of the villages at Hotvela, and then in Monkapi. So there are irrigation type farming that also happen at Hopi besides the dry farming. And then the gardening that some folks are starting to do more and more outside of their homes. Our intent was always to try to make a connection between the food that people eat and what they actually grow. And just to really bring attention that the food that you grow is medicine. And that's really the best way to eliminate the diseases and the health issues that are happening throughout the community and throughout Native communities in general, and really throughout the world. If we're able to start eating more of what we grow and more of what's growing out there in the wild, then we all know that we're going to be strengthened spiritually, physically, and that a lot of these health issues are going to go away. So the apprenticeship program developed into a yearly program that would happen throughout 2 of the summer months. And it always had an emphasis on young people, but also included older folks as well. And some of the components that the participants would learn about would be water harvesting, rainwater harvesting, learning how to stop erosion from happening in the natural washes, learning how to help water inflow into fields, and just really to hopefully the intent is for folks to have a deeper relationship with water, and to be to learn more about the cycles that happen, and to just see different means to be able to have access to water. And so a big part of that, of course, is rainwater harvesting and earthworks, making shapes in the earth to capture water to be able to grow different things. Another part of it, of course, was linking them with dry farmers, linking the participants with dry farmers who are able to get a harvest at least 1 or 2 of the years. And then also gardeners and, like I mentioned, folks at the springs, some of the women at the different springs. So there, we would try to really link up the youth and participants with different folks in the community who were already doing great things. Another part of it has always been beekeeping and learning about pollinators and their important roles. And so there's different components that made up the apprenticeship program. Moving forward, we developed a partnership with in an organization called Spirit of the Sun, who's based out of Colorado. And what they offered was a partnership with the America Vista program. And so what this helped us to do was to formalize our apprenticeship program a little bit more. And it also, the AmeriCorps Vista program enabled us to also offer the participants what's called a living stipend. So through that program, we were able to garner funding to give to the participants so that they could devote that time solely to the program and have a little bit extra money so that they could still take care of their living situations. And so the program really evolved in 2015 to really be a little bit more self-sustaining in the sense that we were able to identify participants and individuals in the community who were already farming and already doing things. So then we modeled the program to not necessarily be at other sites, but to look at the group of participants and identify certain goals that each participant may have. So a lot of the participants that have been part of the program are already farming, already doing things. And so by them joining the program, we identified the folks who were in the program and made a schedule with participants that included their own sites. And so, for instance, this year there were farmers from Moncapi, farmers from different villages, from Kikotsmovi, from Second Mesa, who already were farming. And so this program enabled the entire group to visit each one of their sites to strengthen each of the sites. And so now part of the beauty of this program is that the leadership comes from the participants. And so it's a model where we put it out there and ask folks, well, you all joined this program. What are some of your goals, or what are some things that you may need help with? And so this year, for instance, participants worked with different individuals in the program. For instance, there was a couple spring restoration programs, projects where the participants took leadership and said, I want to fix up this spring that's still running, but it needs some work. And so participants would spend anywhere from a week to a month on the different sites and rotate throughout. There was another participant in Moncapi who has a field there that gets irrigated once a year and just produces amazingly, but also had a spring that hadn't been developed in a very long time. And so with his leadership, all of the participants got to work on that spring and saw it come back to life, and it produced a lot of food. So the intent of the program right now is to really support what's happening in the community right now with folks who are doing things already. And it works well because it helps spread the work around and helps a lot of different sites throughout the different villages to get some assistance. The program is also geared and amenable to helping folks who are just starting as well. So if one of the participants or somebody in the community is interested in starting, for instance, a small garden, then from our pool of participants, we're able to go over there and help to start a small garden to help encourage more food production within the community. And the program utilizes, really is rooted in supporting the traditional practices that happen at Hopi, and that are super important and that we believe are going to be the key to survival into the future. But also the program looks at modern ways and other applicable technologies and techniques of doing things. And one of these is with gardening. And so that's somewhat of a fairly new concept in the Hopi villages, because as some of you may know, the fields a lot of times are somewhat far from the home, but we're also encouraging folks to try to grow food close to their home as well. And this is where the home gardening information and knowledge is really crucial. And all of these are keeping in mind the role that water has, and also the role that we have in order to use water very wisely. So we apply different techniques in gardening to make sure that we're ensuring that we use water very wisely. And so that includes sheet mulching and different techniques to retain water in the soil and to build the soil up. So all of those things combined really make for a great program. And it does take quite a bit of organizing, but then once it starts, it's a lot of self-organizing from the participants to figure out which sites they're going to go to and prioritize what works needs to be done. And so that direction comes from the participants themselves. And so I just wanted to give a brief overview of the program and I'll be happy to answer any questions, but also just want to turn it over to back to Valerie and any participants who may want to share their experience. But I do want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share about our program, and all of the work that you all are doing in the community is also very inspiring, and I just hope you keep it up. So thank you so much for having me on, Kukwe. And I can answer any questions if anyone has it.
Thank you, Jacobo. And if anybody has any questions to ask of him, you can ask now. Just unmute yourself and you can ask Jacobo directly if you have anything to ask. Okay, I guess you must have explained everything very well, Jacobo. So we'll go ahead and pass on the mic to Hawthorne Dukpu. He's on right now. He is one of the mentors that was helping to guide the interns this summer, and he'll share his experience. Hawthorne.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me? Can
Yes,
you hear
we
me,
can
Val?
hear you. Yes, I
All
can
right,
hear you.
cool.
Really quick,
Yeah.
before you get started, Hawthorne, Troy Honani has a question. He's raising his hand. If you can unmute your mic and speak.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I think there's an outstanding question, and it was related to data, where to find data that Jacobo had mentioned earlier. Maybe updated data or a location to find some of the numbers that he was mentioning.
So Troy,
Yeah, go for it.
the data I was talking about is actually from a report compiled by the Natwani Coalition in 2004, and it's called the 2004 Hopi Community Food Assessment, and that should be available if you contact the Hopi Foundation or Natwani Coalition. But yeah, I recommend you check that out.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jacobo. Thank you. I'm sorry to have cut you off, Hawthorne. Go
No, it's
ahead
okay.
and go on, and you can share your experiences.
Okay. My name is Hawthorne Tukpa from the village of Kikotsmove out in Hopi. And my mother and my father is Kobo and Lillian Hill. I've been working alongside them for a long time. Back when they had the very first youth programs, I was mainly tagging along with them. But throughout those years, I've learned quite a lot about all kinds of things related to farming, building, and permaculture design. But basically, over the summer, what we did was we did a lot of things, and a lot of them revolved around. It all mostly revolved around spring restoration, farming, and a little bit of natural building. So we visited two people's their springs that they had out in one of them, his ranch land. There's like 3 springs on his ranch, and some students were there fixing his spring and building up retaining walls and check dams for erosion control and taking down some of the invasive plants and trees that are around in that area. And I know in Munkape they did something too. They ended up building terraces there, and the guy Jaren Nimkina, he ended up starting a little garden up there. His chili and his cotton and squash, melons. He started all that up there, and basically what we did also was we provided bread ovens for several people out on the res. So that's what we did as well. We ended up building earthen ovens for some families out there. And also we did some farming too. We ended up at my field for one of the weeks, and I was showing some of the students that I had those weeks how to set up wind pickers in how we used to set them up, like with the rabbit brush and the sagebrush, and basically that's what we were doing all along my field to prevent erosion. And basically that was mostly what we did over the summer, this past summer.
Thank you, Hawthorne, for sharing that. I see some of the other interns on. I thought I saw Matthew on here somewhere. I'm trying to look on the screen. Matthew, are you here? Matthew?
Yeah,
Banitiwa?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. If you can continue to share, just building on what Hawthorne said about your personal experience and why you decided to join the program, and what you got out of it.
My name is Matthew Banimtua. My Hopi name's Josh Viama, and I'm from the village of Hotvilla. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to participate in this program was because I wanted to learn about the surrounding area around me. Because I know, like Hawthorne stated, there was springs that we went to and made check dams, and when the monsoon rains came, we went back and checked on it, and we saw that our dams held up, and the spring that was there was filled up higher than it was before. And then I was really happy because I wasn't able to experience that in my younger years, and having this program really helped me learn more about my culture and what we do as Hopi people and men to go out and take care of the surrounding area and the earth itself. So that was what really made me happy, I guess. And that's all that I have to say because Hawthorne said all the projects that we did already.
Hello, we're switching around spaces, so sorry about that and for the delay. I have, thank you, Matthew, for sharing. I have here with me Carlos Cinqua and Bernadette Crook, and they're also going to share their experiences with the program. Go ahead. Introduce yourself first.
Hi, my name is Carlos Cinqua. I'm from the Badger clan. I come from the village of Foodways, Third Mesa. Let's see, where do I start? I guess I was always raised to learn our farming techniques by my dad. I never really had the chance to learn farming from my grandfather on both sides. But it was my dad who taught me these things. But as a child growing up or a young adult or teenager, I would never want to go to the field because it was too hot. and it was a lot of work. And at that time, I would just rather, be inside, watch TV, just enjoy the things like that. But as I grew older in 2000, I believe, 2014, I made the transition of moving from the village to our field where we have a trailer. The trailer wasn't occupied, and due to some circumstances, I was able to move up there. We did plant when we were growing up, but we never tended the cornfields up there. But as soon as I made permanent residence up there, I began to remember what I was taught of farming. So I took the responsibility of keeping that house open and also tending to our cornfield. We have one big major cornfield, two bean fields, and just this past, I guess in 2015, when I moved up there, I began developing the land up there. My first project was making little terrace gardens. I'm from the village of Hopeville, and I remember my grandmother going down to the spring with my grandmother, and she had a garden down there, which is irrigated by the spring water. And she also had a garden along the side of her house. And growing up, you don't really pay attention to those kind of things, I guess. But I wanted a little bit of home to come to where I was residing. So my project was to make terrace gardens as I seen down at the spring. And for me, tending to a garden, I believe that you really have to put your whole heart in it. That's one of the things that I've learned coming from Hopi. We learn all these things, what our ceremonies are about. The designs on our clothing and things like that. All that comes back to my mind, to where I began to learn again what was taught to me. So when I started that project, it was a lot of work, and I'm there by myself, but it really opened my mind to a different way of surviving, I guess you would say. In 2018, there was a post about an internship through HTPI, which was a natural building internship. And me at that time, sometimes I don't like to take challenges for myself, but I always pray for opportunity to come, and that's what I pray for daily. And when I seen that program come up, I decided that I want to be a part of it. So I got selected, and that was the very first time that I ever got exposed to sustainable living and permaculture practices. So that opened my eyes to a whole new way of looking at the world as to how we can survive out here, as we've always done by our ancestors, and how we can grow our own food and sustain ourselves. So that was a project that I got involved in. It was I believe a 9-month program, but it kind of went over. But it was the first time that I actually got my hands into a program to where it taught a lot of things besides the natural building internship. That was a very exciting program for me. It opened, like I said, it opened a lot. It opened my eyes to a lot in this area. And when I walked into the place where we were stationed at, which was Jacobo's and Lillian's residence, as I walked into that greenhouse, oh my God, that building just was full of life. It was a spiritual kind of feeling that I got in there. And it was one to where I was connected to those plants that I saw growing in there, to that earth home. And it was just a great feeling. So that was what also drew me in further to learn more as much as I could in the program. After that program was complete, I also entered the internship, which was one of the programs that Hawthorne, a different program that was run by different members of the program. But anyway, in that program, we went out in the community and helped the elders, whether they be hoeing their weeds in their fields, plastering homes, making bread ovens. So those little projects in turn opened my eyes to other things that I would like to do where I'm at. But a lot of these things that I learned also got me out of my shell, because I'm a person that likes to, be alone, and I always grew up that way. So in order to get out of that shell, I put myself in these programs to where I can learn and where I can also be assistance to anybody. But with the farming, it takes a lot. It's really a lot of work. But what helped me go through the motions of it is my culture and the things that I learned growing up out here, ceremonial wise and things like that. It takes a lot of prayer to get to where you want to be, I guess you would say, but it also takes a lot of work. Being up there, doing the work usually by myself, it has allowed me to get out of the house. I don't have no water there. I don't have no electricity. So it was a big, quote unquote, cultural shock for me, coming from a house that had TV, running water, and so forth. So I grew up like that without those necessities as a child. So it wasn't a hard of a transition for me, just the fact that I had to get used to it again. But I'm very content up there. And what brought me to that point as to where I'm at was just to have the appreciation of the land, to work on myself as well. Food is medicine, and I'm also an artist, and that has combined into my planting, I guess you would say, because Hopis have always used imagery to convey their prayers. And also, like they say, you can always paint or build a life that you want. So all the paintings that I do reflect like a good life, such as rain clouds, butterflies, corn, things like that. So my art really ties in along with my farming. So those two are certainly close together that help me along. I'm also an outdoors person. I love to go hiking, and Mother Nature and gardening, farm work is healing in itself too. It helps you heal. I really, really believe that. I always mention this. I know some people, but anyway, I always mention my Bell's palsy. I had Bell's palsy twice within a year and a half. But with my farming and artwork, that has given me time to reflect on myself and to heal with that. I still have a long way to go, but it's something that I really hold dear to my heart is nature, farming, and art. And I think that the more I do that, I think the more I can be able to continue on with doing what I'm doing. The permaculture program has also opened me up to rainwater harvesting, as well as seed saving, and just basically going out and being an asset to the community in however which way I can. I'm part of the cleanup program that Valerie and her family are running, so that also opens up my mind to remind me of where we live and how we need to take care of our land. So it all combines into what I want to do. Or I don't know, I get lost in my words sometimes. I can go on and on, but I all I can say is I'm having a good time doing what I'm doing with my farming and gardening and art. I'll probably remember something else, but if there's any questions that you have, maybe I can continue on in that way too, answering your questions. But the program did open my eyes to a lot, like I said, and I'm still carrying on those skills that I've learned and adopting it into my life up there as well. So I think that's about it as far as what I have to share.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Thank you. You have to all come out and see Carlos's area that he's talking about. I'm sorry we weren't able to take photos and pictures about the terraced gardens and things he's describing to you all, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. He's putting his artwork out there on the trails, and it's a beautiful location right off of Low Mountain Junction here at First Mesa off Highway 264 is where he lives. And it's called, what is your place called?
Much Ovi.
Much Ovi is what it's called. It's where Carlos resides. And Carlos has been a longtime friend. We grew up together, Tewa Village, and running around a lot. Yeah, so I just wanted him to share his experience because I feel that everybody is capable of doing what Carlos has done, taking aspects from the program, Hopi Tutswa permaculture, they're willing to share all their knowledge with you, and you can take what you want from it and shape your lives in a good way, like you're hearing from all of the interns. And I know this is a little bit different than how the presentation was with Ajo. What I wanted to do was share a more personal experience directly from the interns about why they're doing this and how it's affected them and how they're going to model their lives after learning all of this knowledge. And I also wanted to introduce, sorry.
I have one more thing to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, for the past 2 years, we haven't planted in our big field and our bean field because of global warming and whatnot. It's just been so dry. And this year I planted, but I had trouble with the rodents. So when things started coming up, they had a feast. So that was kind of depressing. But yet I turned everything around and said, I had to realize, things like this happen. You just have to find other outlets on what else you can do. So during that time when I didn't have nothing growing, I was working on my garden, just like preparing things. And all this rainfall that we've had for the past 2 months, especially this past month, in place of all my corn or my plants that were growing, a lot of flowers came up in my garden, my terraces, and sunflowers. And to me, I think that made up for the loss of what could have been with my crops. So even though those flowers were there, I still appreciate them for coming into my garden. And that also has brought me joy because I was a little sad that the rodents ate my crop, but those flowers just made a big difference in how I analyze and how I come to the conclusion that it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There's always next year, and that's what hopefully is about too. You never give up. You always try again. So with that faith, you can move on and you can reflect back as to, okay, what do I need to do next this time so this won't happen again? So I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of things that I want to do and change up there. So maybe this coming planting season, which I'm looking forward to, will be a little better than last year. But like I said, all these flowers just made up for everything. So I was happy with them that they came and grew and are still there visiting with me. So that's just what I wanted to add on. Thank you.
Okay, Carlos almost made me cry. For those of you who know me, I'm a very emotional person. And stories like this are what I want to be shared because it's coming from here. And my father always tells us when it comes from here, you never can go wrong. So thank you, Carlos, and I believe the flowers did bless you
Yes, I think
and make
so.
you happy
Mhm.
and all of that, because they're there. And that's what I feel the disconnect also is that we're not looking to them anymore for answers. We're not asking the plants out there, the animals out there, the land. We're not asking anymore. We're just taking. And so that's something that we need to remind ourselves about, because they have power. They're powerful. If we embrace all of that, and if we take all of that into consideration when we're going out there and just at least honoring them. And I always tell my kids to introduce yourself to everything out there. I always tell them who you are, tell them why we're here or what we're doing. You know, we're not here to harm you, but you know, we're happy to see you. And that's the same way we greeted the Itzma when we saw it growing plentiful again. I was down to my last container of the Itzma that I harvested like 5 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was using it sparingly. And I was like, don't go away, because I use it in our cooking a lot. And so this year when we just had blankets and blankets of the Itzma, everybody knows that we're talking about it earlier. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's like a relative coming home and you haven't seen them for a while. And I was out there like, woohoo, and I was, you know, by myself, and probably people who were passing along the road probably thought, what is this crazy woman out there? Is she drunk or something? But I was so happy to see them and greet them and just tell them that we are thankful. And what Carlos said is true. Those seeds are there. The seeds are there for us to nurture and grow. They just need that rainwater. They need our attention and they need that respect. So I don't want to keep talking because I can talk forever too. But I also want to introduce Bernadette Crook. And she's a community member who really supports the efforts that the HTPI represents. She helps and is involved with wanting to be a community supporter more. And so I just wanted to have her share her experiences volunteering at HTPI. Bernadette, go ahead, you can introduce yourself.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Juliela Crook. I come from Sitsumovi Village here on First Mesa. I also come from the Coyote clan, East Young. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be asked by Valerie. It was kind of short notice and I was kind of in a panic, but just sitting here listening, it's really bringing me into memory. I mean, taking me back into memory. Pretty much what Carlos had described as a child. I too was pretty much like a lazy child, always running away from my grandparents because there was always farm work to be done. If it wasn't tending to the fields, it was going out working cattle. And so growing up, you know, it was a way of life. It was a structure that was instilled in us that it was our way of life. And it was something that was gonna carry us through life. Little did I know as a child, you know, I never knew that I was going to eventually find the love for gardening and working on my cornfields. I'm single. I have 2 sons, and so we worked our garden. First, it was always our field, but within the last 5 years, we've been going through drought. The lands have just dried out. When we plant, there's no moisture. And so seeing that and planting I started to lose faith because the corn would grow, but then they would dry up, and it was disheartening because we here on Hopi, we consider our corn life, and so after we started to notice the drought, we started to plant around our home. That in itself is prophecy that to the Hopi that we're coming to end times once we start to see people planting around our homes. That was part of prophecy that people are going to start getting lazy, and we're coming to the field. Yeah, and we're not going to be tending to our fields, and nobody's going to be planting anymore. And so I shared that with my sons, but because of the drought, we had no other choice but to start building gardens around our home. And so I've tried different seeds, and they've all pretty much fruited. I have around my home, it's ground that's called, it's a form of clay that we call neyavu. When it dries, it's solid, like cement. So it's different from what we have on our cornfield. So that's one of the barriers that we have to deal with besides the insects. And then the field mice and rats that come around. That's, I guess, the battle that we're going to have to face. We're going to have gardens around our homes. But anyway, going back to my childhood, I was, I guess because it was a family or a tribal thing, it was our tradition that corn was our way of life, planting. I never really realized that at an older age that all this knowledge that I gained from my childhood, that it was gonna suffice me in my adulthood. So I'm very thankful that even though I was lazy, that my grandparents had made me work. They harvest every time from planting all the way through the whole season of summer up into harvest time. Once the crop was all brought in, then my grandmother would put me to work with preparation, storage, and all the things that go into caring for the nutwani, the crop. And so at this time, Hopi is pretty much all the ladies that do have nutwani, we're going through a season of having all our fruit everywhere in our homes, and storing seeds, and picking the different things that we need for the whole year, like the it's kind of like a black mold that we call nanha. Everything like that, the small things that grow on the corn we use throughout the year. Not the women, but the men folks. So we also, tend to a lot of the little things that nature has to offer us, a gift as a way of our livelihood here. the other thing is, I guess when you plant, one thing that I noticed that is it helps a person to have a balanced life, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever aspects that we need as humans to balance ourselves. Planting provides all that. It's not noticeable, but eventually you do benefit from the earth in that way also. I was not in the program, but I do support what's been happening with the Hopi, what is this called?
It's called permaculture.
Yeah, the permaculture projects that have been going on. I think it's going to benefit a lot of people who are not raised having cornfields or gardening. So I encourage a lot of our youth and young parents to get involved. It's a life-sustaining program that I think needs to be brought back on Hopi. So, I appreciate the exposure to what the program is exposing out there. Thank you.
So Bernadette is also, she did volunteer to help at the Hopi Tusco Permaculture also provides transplants. And so people are able to purchase transplants from them in the early spring, and they also provide tree transplants as well. So, or how would you say, transplants? But Bernadette was a part, supports and was volunteering at that event where many people were going over to pick up their transplants and their fruit trees to plant in their own area. So she was volunteering there and showing her support in that way. So thank you, both of you, for sharing your time and for coming. And also, I believe we have another intern on. I can't see, I'm kind of a little bit far from the, is Camille still on? Camille Kutskoiva, my sister?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. It's good night. You didn't go to sleep and go somewhere.
Hi, Camille.
I know.
I also grew up with Camille, and she can introduce herself. We call her Heisey. So that's Buttercup. Butter, is that what it is? Well, she can introduce herself. Camille, if you can unmute yourself or share your experience. I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Camille Kutskoiva. My Hopi name is Gowan Heisey. I'm Hopi Tewa from the village of Tewa, but I reside in Kikosmovi, where my father is from. I'm Corn Clan and my father is Reed Clan. So Carlos is my grandpa and my sweetheart. But I really appreciate all of what all of you guys have been saying. A lot of it is the same as what Val was talking about, growing up and learning from our parents and grandparents, and us being Corn Clan, our responsibilities for that, and just the same experiences that they've had. But I worked with the Hopi Titskwa program for the first time this year. I joined. This was my first year, and every year Lillian sends me an email, an application, and this year I finally said, I think I'm ready to do this. So I wasn't really too sure I was getting myself into, but my main goal was I really wanted to learn more about planting, our traditional ways of planting and alternative ways of planting. And we have an old orchard that I want to be able to restore too. So I I learned a lot from my dad, but there was still a lot that I didn't know. So I joined the program, and I'm really glad I did. I really gained a lot from this program, and just being probably the oldest one in the program was a lot of hard work. But it was good for me though, because I've kind of let's see, isolated myself, I guess, from, especially during the pandemic and stuff. So I haven't really been out of the community like I used to, and doing, being part of this program put me back out there, and I I felt really good about that, and I enjoyed the program a lot. What I really brought from it was I was really inspired, especially because let's see, the all the other participants were all younger. They were all, young people, young Hopis, and other, from other places, and they were really knowledgeable in all of, what they've been learning through this program. They've been in the program longer than I have, but I was really impressed with everything that they know, and for at their young age, and that they're all able to talk Hopi, which I can't, unfortunately. But I'd ask them questions, and they all had answers. So I really brought about a lot of knowledge from all of them, and I'm really thankful for that. And thankful to Lillian and Jacobo for all their work. I think this is something that was really needed for us to kind of keep our ways of planting going, and growing food, and harvesting and cooking foods, and so we can sustain ourselves as Hopis. Even if we have to adapt to new ways of doing things, of new ways of planting, we are still able to carry on those seeds that we have for generations, which is what I want to do with my grandchildren. Is I want them to learn everything there is to know about it, so that they're able to continue the planting when we're gone, and feed their children and grandchildren, and so on. So um, so I'm really glad that I joined the program this summer, and I look forward to it next summer. There's still a lot of work to be done in my area. I'm once planting season comes along, my grandkids are all going to be busy out there with me. So I think it's probably the first time since my dad passed away that we're really gonna start planting those seeds that he saved for us. So I'm sorry. It's kind of emotional for me because I was my dad's only child. He didn't have a son, and so a lot of things fell on me. And like Bernadette said, you don't realize all the things that you learn growing up until you're an adult, and you realize you did really listen and pick up on things. And I think he'd be really happy with this program, my dad. So, and I'm thankful to all of you guys, to my sister Val, for putting herself out there in the community and being a leader. And I really appreciate you, sister. And your girls too. They're going to be, they're all doing the same thing. We want our girls to be, carry it on for us, because like, there's not much of our, my mom's gone. So it's pretty much on us, or me, my sisters, to carry on our clan history, and our clan responsibilities are. And it's a lot, but I'm trying. So I really appreciate my mom, Eva, too, for everything, helping me with a lot of things that and I have questions I have and stuff. She's there for all of us to go to. So but I think that's all I have to say. I just really am grateful for the program. I am really inspired, and by the young participants, the Hopi youth that are the younger ones that are in that program. they know a lot, and I gives me hope for our future. So, good night, ask Willie.
We thank you, good night, sister, for sharing. Hi, sis, my sister. We used to go on escapades all together, all around. Me, my older sister Debbie, and hi, sis. And we used to get in trouble together, and we go all over to the springs. And we were out there as we were kids, just playing and just being out in the landscape. And I can. I really just want to thank Heisi for being on, because she did lose both of her parents just recently, and now she's becoming a grandmother. I mean, she is a grandmother, and she's carrying on the tradition of what she was taught. So thank you, sister, for being on and for joining us. I believe we have one more person, Dana. If you're still on somewhere, thank you. If you can unmute yourself. I don't know. Oh, yay. Okay. Dana, there you are. Hi. Hi. It's
Hi,
good to
Dana.
see you. Good to see
Hi.
you. Okay, go ahead. You can go ahead and share your experience. Thank you.
Lolama, yeah, hey everybody. My name is Dana Eldridge. Tenja Kinanishle, do Belagana Brushes Ching, Kiani Dashes Che, do Norwegian A Dashanelle. I'm of the Honeycomb Rock People Clan. I'm calling in right now from Greasewood, Arizona. I'm from a community called Navajo Station, which is about 15 miles up the mesa from here. I came to the Hopi Tetsqua permaculture internship this year after wanting to join and be part of this program for like 7 years. About 7-8 years ago, I moved home back to where my family's from, my home community where my mom grew up, where my clan's been for a very long time. And I moved home with the intention to start farming and start a process of revitalizing my family's spring and summer sheep camp, which had been abandoned for almost 20 years, close to 20 years. And it's been like a whole process trying to do that. And, you know, doing a lot of work alone in the heat, having to haul water. We live up there with no running water or electricity, and just kind of like struggling, it seemed like, to try to get this place established. And after this whole long journey doing that, things finally lined up this year to be able to come out to Hopi and be part of the program. And it was a really good experience for me. I was the only non-Hopi person involved with the program. So for me, coming in from the outside, it was like such an honor to be able to observe and learn and engage and participate with all of the activities that Hawthorne had described in what we were doing. And for me, the most memorable thing that stood out was the spring restoration work that we were doing. And to this day, I still think about that, because it was really awe-inspiring, especially in this drought that we were experiencing this year, to see spring start to come back, you know. And even this was even before the monsoon started. The particular project I'm speaking about was, we were doing spring restoration out on someone's ranch land, and it seemed like the land really responded to having young people out there, and also just like having people care, you know. And like, she saw that, she felt that, and even like the little birds and the animals, like they just seemed like happy. And over the course of the summer, as I would go out there, it was like it would drip more, this little seep, it would come even more. And even before the rain came, and it just blew my mind, because it's like, wow, this is the solution, you know, for what we're experiencing right now. This is like in real tangible terms, like this is something that's bringing more water. And for me, the work that I do, I've been involved with food sovereignty stuff out on Navajo for like, yeah, 7, 8, 9 years now. I used to work as a researcher and a policy analyst at Diné College, and we worked on a whole food sovereignty report and did all sorts of recommendations to the Navajo Nation Council about ways that our communities could be supported to start growing food, because that's very literally how we are sovereign, you know, and how we are self-sufficient. And to see a program like this with young people out there on the land doing things that make the land happy and that bring water, you know, it's just like, wow, this is the real solution. And if our tribal governments could support and prioritize, our communities actually could support and prioritize this kind of work, like it seems like we would be in a much better place overall. It's remarkable what a crew of young people can do out on the land. And for me, I was slightly older than most people in the program. I'm in my 30s and most people were in their 20s, and it was great to see these young people all out in the fields, kind of like self-organizing, talking about how they were going to do things, and then just going and doing it, and seeing the amount of work that could be accomplished, you know, in such a short period of time was like awe-inspiring. Especially, I know like what Carlos was talking about, like especially if you've ever like had to like work or farm or garden or like anything by yourself, when you see like a crew of young people just go in and like clear a whole field in like a couple hours, it's just like, wow. It doesn't have to be so hard. You know, and it's just like got my mind going to all of these like possibilities of if we were able to like expand on these things, you know, across our communities, like how much we could actually be accomplishing. And so I'm very grateful to Hopi Tetsuo Permaculture Institute for doing the work that they're doing, because it's really some of the most important work that anyone's doing, to be quite honest. And especially in the face of all this drought and climate change, you know, it's easy to get like really discouraged about things sometimes, but when you hear about work like that's happening like this, and you see it, it gives you hope. And I feel like that's what I brought home with me at the end of the summer, was hope. Because where I'm at, you know, all our springs have dried up and our windmills had dried up, and it was just like our water situation was really bleak, especially at the beginning of the summer. And my relatives would say things like, you know, I've never seen the land this dry. When you see elders like say things like that, it really like strikes you, you know, makes you really think about the future and like where we're gonna be. And it can get kind of bleak and even depressing at times, but I feel like I came home from this program with a sense of hope and like real motivation, like, okay, like we can do it. We can do it. Like it's, you see it happen firsthand. And like everything from like the home scale permaculture designs and like ways that people are doing home gardens, to the spring restorations, to like terraces and everything. It's just, it gives you a whole wealth of knowledge to pull on and draw on, to be to know that we have strategies to be able to make it through climate change. We have it within ourselves to make it through this. So yeah, that was my experience. Very grateful to everyone that was involved. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, so yeah, everybody, Escoli.
Thank you, Dana, for sharing that story and talking about the springs, because that's something we see out here at Hopi too, is a lot of our springs have dried up after all the water that was depleted from the extraction from Peabody coal. And it's really sad to see that, you know, you can still see some of the springs where they used to have a lot of water, and still you see some of the animals still going around to check, you know, to see if there's water there. And it's really sad. It's sad to see those kind of things. So I'm glad that you were able to be a part of that spring restoration project, Dana. I wasn't aware of that, but just listening to your story and what you shared is awesome. And definitely the land responds to young people to when they're out there working the fields, they're also receiving that healing from the land. I know it's true because I've seen my own children heal themselves from all the trauma and different things that they've experienced in their young lives already. And I know that it's not just like that for our family. I know that it's across Indian country that a lot of our young people have really high ACE scores. For any of you guys who know that adverse childhood trauma is what it is, and they rate you know, every traumatic experience, and probably most of our children out here have like a rating of 10 or 11 traumatic things that have happened to them in their lifetime. And if people aren't healing in some kind of way, they're not going to take up farming or planting and stuff. You know, they're not going to want to do it. But I feel that when you immerse kids and anybody, adults too, you're never too late. It's never too late to learn. You can go out there and you can just totally immerse yourself in the land, in the waters, in the plants, because they can heal. They can, and I don't want to say, I'm not any kind of clinician or anything that can say, you know, give you the data that can say that they can help. But what I have is the faith and the teachings from our ancestors, my family, my own immediate family, and our clan system out here, where they tell us to not forget these ways, because they were passed on and handed down from generation to generation for a reason. And that was to help us live our best life. So I just wanted to also add on before we close out for HTPI, that Marie Makiwa was the program coordinator for this project, but she could not join us today. Unfortunately, she had another project that she had to do for school. She's actually going to school full-time at NAU. And so there was something unexpected for her that came up. So she wasn't able to join us, but I just also wanted to give her props because she organized everything single-handedly, along with the help of Hawthorne and the other mentors. And so to make this experience for these interns memorable and things that they will use in their own lives to maintain and upkeep their teachings as well, all the things that they were taught. It's just reminding us, it's really instilled within us. It's in us. And my dad always says that it's here. We just closed off this part of our heads nowadays to all the ancestral teachings. So if we can open this back up again, this area here, they say when you're a child, it's that soft spot on the top of the baby's head. If we can just open all of that up again and continue to keep the faith, we can reconnect. We can reconnect to everything. So I just want to encourage everybody to continue the work that you're doing. I always get emotional when we talk about stuff like this, because I feel it's really important. It's really important that we're teaching our young ones, especially the language, to be able to talk to the plants and everything in our own language, and learn the songs, that were passed on that can revitalize the earth, that can revitalize the waters, that can revitalize everything around us. And it's important that all this stuff is still taught, and we're adapting, right? With Hopititsko permaculture, we're adapting and changing to what we need to do now during climate changes. So there's different techniques that they're teaching with the lasagna bed gardening. It's because, you know, you don't need to water that garden bed as much. So, you know, that lasagna bed method is one way to go. And so they teach all kind of things like this through the program. So I just encourage you guys all to take a look at their website, take a look at all of the things that they're still going to continue to be providing for the Hopi community to come together and to become strong again and healthy. So thank you for having us on, and sorry I couldn't show more pictures of anything actually. And I wish you guys could all come out and visit us at Hopi sometime whenever you feel like stopping by and seeing a dance. Come and visit our home up at Tewa Village. You're all welcome to come to our home to eat with us and to watch the dance. And I have my parents on, they're there up in the corner. So I'm sure they're always taught us to, that's what you do. You invite everybody in to come in and eat and to welcome them into your home. So thank you everybody for having us in your homes this afternoon. I'll pass the mic back on to Terrell. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you. Thank you. And again, for anyone who's out there listening, you know, if you're in your community and know of a apprenticeship program and would like to do it, I encourage you all to go and apply. Every summer we do, there's several different apprenticeship programs in different Native communities for community members around the area. So again, I really do encourage you to take part, or if not, be supportive. I'm sure a lot of these programs need equipment and money, so definitely think about that as well. All right, so next we have Cody Manuel. Cody Manuel is from the Gila River tribe, grew up in Y with his two older brothers. He graduated from Ajo School in 2005, decided to go to Scottsdale Culinary Institute, where he graduated with his associate's degree in culinary arts. He had the privilege of working with several top restaurants around the Phoenix area. After 8 years of working in restaurants in Phoenix, he wanted to bring this knowledge back to Ajo, where he is giving back to the community. He is a culinary arts instructor for the Ajo High School for 3 years, and has helped serve and helped 3 restaurants open in the area. Now he feels he's at home at the Ajo Farmers Market Café, where he's looking to do fresh farm to table comfort food, and is excited to start his new journey there. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Cody, and he'll be doing a Bosho cooking demonstration. Cody?
Thank you, Terrell.
You're welcome.
Here we are.
Cody, I need to stop you. You're messing up in your audio. Your audio is really choppy. Can you fix that?
Right now.
Oh, there you go. That sounds better. Can you hear me, Cody?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Cody, can you hear us?
Cody, sorry, Daryl, this is Nina. Let me just, Cody, I would suggest you go maybe into another room. It might be just the internet.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
better.
Okay,
Yep,
perfect.
that's
All right.
better, Cody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm down here. I'm down here at the restaurant. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so today we're meals for Hill event. We got to do the Pomegranate Festival up in Tucson this past weekend. Was absolute blast. As you heard, I'm a certified chef. I went through Scottsdale Culinary Institute. I'm a Hill native. Most of my traditional cooking was actually through my aunts and uncles. Unfortunately, my grandmother ended up passing away when I was at a young age. Today what we're doing is actually we ended up making a bolsho, which is a temporary bean and a stew that's traditionally served with smoked chestnut. I spoke to my dad about this, and it made me laugh also because the fact that he said how a lot of us know going to a funeral, you get the traditional foods, you get the authentic, the families making it for each other, so you know that there's extra love that's put into it. And with me, that's something that I really look forward to, is going through and actually working with a lot more traditional foods. I've gotten 17 years culinary experience under my belt, and what we're trying to do down here at all farmers market and cafe, we're to do farm to table foods that is comfort foods with a traditional twist. So we're kind of incorporating the traditional foods into modern cooking. Go through and looking at how we can go through and how we can add in a tech to go through and make traditional, making for the pomegranate, we actually ended up doing like I said with granola bar crumble that went over the top of it and pomegranate honey glaze over it. And it went over really, really well. And as everybody said, they know that it's authentic, but it's also it was so comforting to go through and actually see people that were excited to go through and try these different kind of foods, to go through and taste the different styles, and nobody was afraid to go through and try it. When they went through and when they saw it right there, they were more than happy to go through and test it out. The amount of guys that we took with us ended up going in a heartbeat. And so it was definitely a really, really good showing. Today, as I said, what I ended up making was a bolsho. I have to run to the kitchen really fast. Give me 1 second to go through and get you my presentation.
Daryl, this is Nina. Can you perhaps explain what gaisa is while Cody is setting up?
Yeah, gaisa, or corn, grounded roasted corn, is comes from the 60-day corn that for the autumn crops matures in 60 days from seed to maturity. And what we do is we pick it while it's still in green and the tassels are showing, and then we roast it. From there, we let it dry, and then we then grind the roasted, dried white corn down to a chunky meal-like substance. And then we can use it for later use during the year. But it's a corn, sort of a coarse corn mush that is very diverse. I personally like it with red chili, but you also can do various things with it as well. So Cody will definitely be showing us the bolsho method, which is a stew with incorporates that and temporary beans and other things as well. So Cody, you're back, so we'll hand it back to you.
Alrighty, so as you said, it's the 60-day corn. Right here is what we have from Ramona Farms. It's as you said, it's a 60-day roasted corn that's been ground down, and I've got the white temporary beans right here. These are from the Cowlick farm. We ended up doing this up this morning. Right here is our bolsho. I went through and I kept it relatively simple. It's got onions, it's got garlic, it's got salt, pepper, temporary beans, and the gaisa. And We went through and we made it where it was a little bit soupy, so that then it's like we said, we can possibly go through and we can add in other vegetables. It's a really diverse food that I really feel like you can really do a lot with it. As natives, traditionally, we look at it that the bolsho, it is something that we definitely use to go through and honor others. Me myself, I'm still a young chef. I'm still learning a lot, and to tell you the truth, going through and doing these different demos, I learned something new, especially going through and listening to the other presenters, going through and finding out about different styles of foods. As I said, I'm Gila River, but I don't let my own tradition go through and hold me to where this is the only thing that I do. I prefer to go through and I prefer to look at what is the best way to go through and use something. There's a lot of times that we have excess stuff that's inside of our refrigerators or freezers that we can use, and going through and being able to, as I said, putting a traditional twist in there where it adds the healthy, it adds the flavor, as a matter of fact. It's something that I've never really gotten a chance to do. So this has been really a really great learning experience for me to go through and pick up these different things that's going on, to see the traditional styles that are being used, and also to get to use traditional elements, traditional foods. You can't find them definitely up in the city. It's very, very hard. I worked for, as I said, 8 years up in the city. Never once did I get to see any gaisa or anything like that up there, besides when I was going to my family's to go through and have dinner. And it's definitely been refreshing to go through and start seeing that the native culture is really starting to come back. We've got these farms going, we've got all these different plans that are going, and we're pushing the envelope. We're letting people know that we're here. We're here to show what we can do, and we have a lot of great traditional foods, and a lot of the people don't understand that. And down here in Ajo, they ask us, okay, how can you do farm to table? How can you do farm fresh? Well, the biggest thing is using local farms and looking at what do we have around here. Nobody realizes that if you go out on the Tohono reservation, that there's farms and set up anywhere and everywhere that we can. And on the Gila River Reservation, we've got the city surrounding us, but you see out there on the reservation, that's where we've got crops growing. Everywhere you live, there's always crops, there's always something growing. So we're giving back to the environment. We're trying to keep the earth going, and to go through and be able to really be a part of that, being here for it. It's really been a great honor. So if there's any questions or anything, any comments, I would love to hear them.
Cody, could you go through the ingredients for the bolsho again?
Absolutely. Six to 7 hours. And this morning, we actually are doing it in a pressure cooker, so I cut it in half. So I cut it down to about 2 to 3 hours. And the temporary beans came out nice and moist. But I know that the traditional style is definitely overnight, slow cooked. And so this is something that we're also in the middle of doing the distributions over in Gila Bend. But basically with the bolsho, it's temporary beans cooked for about 2 to 3 hours in a pressure cooker, normally 6 hours at least. With the temporary beans, I placed half an onion, just cut it in half, added it inside of there, so add little chunks of onion inside there. I threw a Greek cloves of garlic inside of there to add additional flavor from the garlic, salt and pepper, and I put about 4 to 5 times the water in the temporary beans. After that, down for the 2 to 3 hours, I placed that in there for It was about 30 minutes, and it's ready.
All right, thank you so much. Again, thank you again, Cody, for the demo, and we look forward to tasting more of your food there at the Ajo Market and Cafe. So if anyone passes through the Ajo Market Cafe or through Ajo, make sure that you stop there and taste some of Cody's food. All right, again, thank you so much again for joining us here for the summer season of the season's food gatherings. We look forward to hearing your comments and suggestions. Nina, is there anything that we need to cover?
Yeah, thank you to all the presenters. What a morning. I get so inspired hearing from the next generation of autumn farmers and Hopi farmers, and seeing how agriculture connects to so many aspects of lives and culture and everything else. And then thank you to the chefs for sharing some of the recipes, kind of like everyday recipes, but very important recipes on how to prepare some of the foods that are grown, and also sharing their stories, because it is all about the people. And that's kind of a big lesson for me I continue to take away from these gatherings. So I wanted to just express a thank you to everybody participating. Thank you to everybody who visited with us today, was able to join in, and for commenting. And I invite you to check out these programs online, social media, and when safe, do come and visit us, do go to Hopi and visit. Keep on being inspired, and we can't wait to hear from you what you do. So if you want to be in any of these Foodways gatherings, and you do something around food, we would love to hear from you. We are starting to put together, as we close out the summer gathering, which is what this one was, and we're starting to put together the plans for the fall gathering. We would like to invite you to, participate, to present. We're always looking for farmers, ranchers, wild food harvesters, cooks, community organizers, educators, elders, to share the stories and to teach about the foods. So I would like to do one more reminder of the listening session that we will hold in cooperation with the University of Arizona Extension and Pinnacle Prevention, which will be on October 14th for the Agricultural Workforce Development Bill. Sterling mentioned it this morning. It's a bill that was passed just recently by the state of Arizona to help offset the cost of training apprentices in farming and ranching. So we are organizing a listening session to hear specifically from tribal folks, either those interested in going into agriculture or those interested in hosting apprentices. We are also inviting stakeholders like elders or community organizers or educators to join us, and so that we can help form this program so that it will be accessible for tribal people. Because do not forget that what is unique about Arizona is that more than 50% of farmers and ranchers in Arizona are Native. And what is also unique is that most of the farmers and ranchers, or higher percentage than elsewhere, are female. A lot of farmers and ranchers in Arizona are female. So kudos to the Native people in Arizona for keeping up such a good job with agriculture, and this program we hope will help them continue to do so for 2 years and then many more years to come. So please join us on October 14th. We shared the link before to register, and thank you, Caitlin, for sharing it again. And with that, I just wanted to again thank everyone. And I'm walking away with a lot of new knowledge and thoughts, and I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you so much, Nina. All right, well, this concludes our summer session, and thank you everyone for joining. And again, keep your eyes and your ears open for the next save the date announcement for our fall session. Again, if you want to participate or have any ideas or suggestions for any topic in native gardening, we definitely would love to hear them. And if you're actually really interested in participating, we also would like to meet you. So again, with that, our closing prayer is to thank everyone who participated today and to go and get inspired. If it's just you wanting to start a garden, you start that and more will come. Like-minded people will join you and share the knowledge that you have learned. So I really encourage all of you to, again, seek out someone in your community that is a gardener or that needs help, especially with the elders. And with that, a good idea can spread and build a strong community and be more self-sufficient with our food sovereignty. Again, thank you again. I pray that all of you walk away with more knowledge to share and to have a great day, to have a great weekend, and to, again, join us for our next session. Have a great day. Thank you. Goodbye.